Hello, my lovely listeners. You're welcome to another episode. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and comment as you listen to Addicted to My Enemy. Prologue. They say the truth will set you free. What they don't tell you is that sometimes the truth comes at you like a slap shot to the chest, leaving you breathless, broken, and bleeding on the ice. My name is Lena Hart, and I'm about to interview the most dangerous man in professional hockey. The enforcer they call Reaper. The man who might hold the key to understanding why my brother is dead. They found Danny with a needle in his arm. Overdose, the police said. Relapse, his friends whispered. Tragedy, the newspapers called it. No one wanted to ask the obvious question. Why would a recovering addict who'd been clean for 9 months, who had just landed a coaching job, who had finally paid off his gambling debts, suddenly decide to inject himself with enough heroin to kill 3 men? No one except me. For 2 years I've followed the trail of my brother's last days. 2 years of dead ends, closed doors, and whispered warnings to let it go. 2 years of being called paranoid, obsessed, unable to accept reality. 2 years until a source slipped me a file with 3 words that changed everything. Follow the money. It led me here to the Toronto Predators practice facility, clutching my press credentials and a list of questions that could either get me the truth or get me killed. Coulter doesn't know me yet. Doesn't know I've spent months building a profile on him. Doesn't know I've tracked every brutal penalty, every suspicious game outcome, every connection to the gambling ring I believe killed my brother. Doesn't know I'm not here for the fluff piece my editor thinks I'm writing. What Coulter doesn't know could destroy him. What I don't know could destroy me. The PR director waves me forward, his practiced smile never reaching his eyes. He's all yours, Ms. Hart. 15 minutes, not a second more. I straighten my blazer, check my recorder, and step through the door. The man sitting with his back to me is massive, shoulders like granite beneath his black t-shirt, dark hair curling at his neck. Even before he turns, I feel the power radiating from him, the barely leashed violence that's made him both feared and famous. Sit, he commands without looking at me. I've interviewed celebrities, politicians, killers. I've never felt the immediate primal instinct to run that I feel right now. Instead, I sit, crossing my legs to hide their slight trembling. Mr. Coulter, thank you for... Jax. When he finally turns, his eyes freeze the words in my throat. Winter cold blue, assessing me like prey. A predator's eyes. Nobody calls me Mr. Anything. I force myself to hold his gaze. Remember Danny. Remember why I'm here. Fine. Jax. I open my notebook, professional mask firmly in place. Let's talk about why they call you Reaper. His smile is all teeth, no warmth. Something flashes behind those cold eyes. Not anger. Something worse. Recognition. Let's talk about your brother instead, he says softly. Danny, wasn't it? Such a shame what happened to him. The room suddenly feels airless. He knows. Somehow he knows exactly who I am. My brother has nothing to do with this interview, I manage, heart hammering against my ribs. Bullshit. Jax leans forward, close enough that I can see a thin scar tracing his left cheekbone. He's the only reason you're here. In this moment, with those predators' eyes locked on mine, I realize I've made a terrible mistake. I thought I was hunting for the truth. I never considered that the truth might be hunting me. This man knows what happened to Danny. I can see it in the careful way he watches me, the calculated menace in his posture. He's involved, whether as perpetrator or witness I can't tell yet. But I will. Because whatever game Coulter is playing, whatever secrets he's keeping, whatever threats await me, I'm not backing down. Danny deserves justice, and I'll find it even if I have to face the Reaper himself. What I don't know yet is that this interview isn't the beginning of my investigation. It's the beginning of a dangerous game that will either expose a murderous conspiracy or add me to its list of victims. My name is Lena Hart, and by the time this story ends, I'll either uncover the truth or die trying. Chapter 1. Lena Hart's heels clicked against the polished floor of the Toronto Predators practice facility. Her reflection glided alongside her in the glass. Dark hair pulled back, notepad gripped too tight, eyes burning with purpose. Get in. Get the truth. Get justice for Danny. The arena smelled of sweat and ice. Players' shouts echoed as she approached the media room. A security guard nodded her through, eyes lingering a moment too long. Miss Hart, a smooth voice called. The team's PR director. Blake something hurried toward her. Jax has 15 minutes, not a second more. I need 30. You get what you get. His smile was practiced. And honestly, you're lucky to get anything. Jax doesn't do one-on-ones. But he agreed to this one, didn't he? Lena thought. Why? The media room was empty except for a man sitting with his back to the door. Even seated, she could tell he was massive, shoulders straining his black t-shirt, dark hair curling at his neck. Your reporter's here, Blake announced, then whispered to Lena, keep it to hockey. Nothing personal. The door clicked shut behind her. Jax Reaper Coulter didn't turn. Sit. One word, a command, not a request. Lena's spine stiffened as she moved to face him. Nothing in her research had prepared her for him in person. His face was all hard angles, jaw like granite, nose broken at least once. A thin scar traced his left cheekbone. But it was his eyes that made her pause, winter-cold blue under heavy brows, assessing her like prey. Mr. Coulter, thank you for... Jax. His voice was surprisingly quiet. Nobody calls me Mr. Anything. Lena sat across from him. Fine. Fix. I'm Lena Hart with the Toronto. I know who you are. He leaned forward, forearms on knees. You're the crusader who thinks hockey's full of criminals. You're the one who's been poking around about gambling and payoffs. A smile that wasn't a smile. You're the one whose brother couldn't handle his debts. The air vanished from Lena's lungs. Danny. He knew about Danny. My brother has nothing to do with this interview. Bullshit. Jax's eyes never left hers. He's the only reason you're here. Heat rushed to Lena's face. She forced her voice steady. I'm here because you lead the league in penalties for the 3rd year running. Because you've put 4 players in the hospital. Because people call you Reaper, and you seem to like it. She flipped open her notebook. Professional. Controlled. And yes, I'm here because there are rumors about players throwing games for a betting syndicate. A syndicate that might have connections to this team. Jax's laugh was like gravel. You've got some balls, Hart. Answer the question. You haven't asked one yet. Lena leaned forward. Are you involved in illegal gambling? No. Have you ever deliberately lost a game? No. Do you know who runs the betting ring that destroyed my brother's life? Jax went still. Something flashed behind his eyes, not anger. Something worse. Your brother destroyed his own life. His voice dropped lower. Some people can't be saved. Lena's pen snapped in her grip. Ink stained her fingers like blood. Danny was getting clean. He was paying his debts. Then suddenly he owed 10 times more to people he never bet with. 3 weeks later he was dead. Overdose. She forced the words past the knot in her throat. Convenient for someone. You should walk away from this, Hart. Like you walked away when they pressured him? When they threatened him? Jax stood suddenly, looming over her. You don't know what you're talking about. I know enough. You know shit. He moved closer, forcing her to tilt her head back to hold his gaze. You think this is a game? People who ask these questions disappear. Is that a threat? It's a warning. The door swung open. A slick-looking man in an expensive suit burst in. That's enough, Jax. The man's smile was all teeth. Ms. Hart, I'm Warren Mills, Jax's manager. I'm afraid we need to cut this short. Jax's eyes held hers for one more heartbeat before he turned away. Think about your next move carefully, Hart, he said without looking back. Not everyone gets a second chance. Warren steered her toward the door, murmuring apologies. Outside, she leaned against the wall, heart hammering. Only when she reached for her phone did she notice the unfamiliar weight in her bag. A cheap burner phone. Not hers. It buzzed once in her hand. New message. Asterisk, stop digging. R asterisk. Lena looked up, scanning the empty hallway. She was alone. But someone was watching. Chapter 2. Lena tapped her pen against her laptop, the burner phone sitting like a ticking bomb beside her desk. 3 days since the message. 3 sleepless nights. Her apartment walls felt too thin, the shadows too deep. Each passing car drew her eyes to the window. Her editor's voice echoed in her head. Asterisk, get me something concrete on Coulter or drop it. Sis. She scrolled through her research for the 100th time. Between official games and charity appearances, Jax Coulter had another routine. Monthly visits to a rehab center called Second Chance. No cameras, no publicity. Why would hockey's most notorious enforcer spend time at a rehab center? What was he hiding? An hour later, Lena parked across from Second Chance, a converted Victorian house with a small, discreet sign. She adjusted her blazer and grabbed her notebook. Just another reporter doing a puff piece on community outreach. The receptionist smiled warmly. Welcome to Second Chance. How can I help you? I'm researching a story on athletes giving back. I understand Jack's Coulter volunteers here. The woman's smile dimmed. Mr. Coulter values his privacy. And our patient's privacy. Of course. I just want to understand what drives him. The public only sees the violence on the ice. What drives him? The receptionist's eyes softened. Loss like most people here. Now I can give you our brochure, but... The front door banged open. A young woman in scrubs rushed in. Sandra, we need the emergency kit in Group B. Tyler's having a bad day. As Sandra hurried away, Lena slipped down the hallway. Patient rooms lined both sides, doors labeled with names. At the end of the hall stood a small office, door ajar. Inside, filing cabinets lined the walls. Lena scanned the labels. Donors, finances, volunteers. She tugged open the V drawer, fingers dancing over folders until she found it. Coulter. Heart racing, she flipped it open. Not volunteer records. Patient visits. Regular appointments for someone named Mia Coulter, signed in by Jax. His sister. A stapled form caught her eye. Payment agreement with an amount that made her stomach drop. Jax Coulter was paying nearly $30,000 a month for someone's treatment. In cash. The click of a door down the hall sent her shoving the folder back, slipping out of the office. She rounded the corner and collided with a solid wall of muscle. Strong hands gripped her arms to steady her. Lena looked up into cold blue eyes. You, Jax Coulter growled. I was just leaving. He tried to step around him. His grip tightened. What are you doing here? Research. Not entirely a lie. Bullshit. You're digging into my life. Let go of me. Surprisingly, he did. You need to walk away from this. Now. From what? Your charity work. Or whatever you're hiding here. Something flashed in his eyes. Fear? You have no idea what you're messing with. Then tell me. He checked his watch, jaw tight. I can't be seen with you. He nodded toward a side exit. 5 minutes. My car. Black Range Rover. Before she could answer, he was gone. Outside, the afternoon had turned gray, threatening rain. Lena hesitated at the side door, journalist instincts warring with self-preservation. A black Range Rover idled at the curb. Decision time. She approached cautiously. The passenger window slid down. Get in, Jax ordered. I don't think. Now, Hart. We're being watched. A silver sedan had pulled up across the street, engine running. 2 men inside watching. Lena slid into the passenger seat. Jax accelerated before her door closed. Who's following us? She demanded. People who want you to stop asking questions. He took a sharp turn, checking the rear view. People who hurt your brother. You know about Danny's debts. I know he owed my bookie. I know he couldn't pay. Jax's knuckles whitened on the steering wheel. I tried to warn him. Too late. Your bookie? So you are involved. It's complicated. Uncomplicate it. Jax's laugh was bitter. You don't quit, do you? Not when my brother's death doesn't make sense. The silver sedan appeared behind them. Jax cursed, accelerating through a yellow light. They're still following, Lena said, pulse pounding. I know. He turned down an alley, killed the lights. Stay down. The sedan cruised past the alley entrance. Jax waited 30 seconds, then reversed, heading the opposite direction. Why are you helping me? Lena asked. I'm not. I'm helping myself. He glanced at her. What did you find at Second Chance? She hesitated. Your sister's file. Mia. His jaw tightened. She has nothing to do with this. 30 grand a month says otherwise. You don't understand. Tires screeched behind them. The silver sedan had found them. Hang on. Jax floored it, weaving through traffic. The sedan gained on them, bumping their rear bumper. Lena gripped the dashboard. There's an envelope in the glove box, Jax said, voice eerily calm. Take it. Lena yanked open the compartment. Inside lay a thick manila envelope. What is this? Insurance. If something happens to me. The sedan rammed them harder. Jax lost control, the Range Rover spinning. They skidded sideways, slamming into a parked car. Lena's head smacked against the window. The world blurred. Through the haze she saw two men approaching, hands inside jackets. Jax shoved his door open. "Run," he told her, voice distant through the ringing in her ears. She fumbled with her seatbelt, clutching the envelope. Blood trickled down her temple. Outside, Jax confronted the men. Words exchanged. One reached for something. Jax moved like lightning, brutal, efficient. The first man went down with a sickening crack. The second swung, connecting with Jax's jaw. Lena stumbled from the car. Her vision swam. The second man spotted her, reaching inside his jacket again. Jax's fist connected with the man's temple. He crumpled. Sirens wailed in the distance. "Come on." Jax grabbed her arm, pulling her away from the scene. "The police will ask questions we can't answer." His face was grim, blood trickling from a split lip. "You're in over your head, Hart. We both are." Chapter 3. Lena's apartment felt foreign, like someone else's space she was borrowing. She winced as she pressed an ice pack to her temple. The cut wasn't deep, but her head pounded. Jax prowled her living room like a caged animal, checking windows, adjusting blinds. His split lip had swollen, the bruise darkening his jaw. "They'll be looking for my car," he muttered. "Won't take long to find us." "Who are they exactly?" Lena set down the ice pack. "You owe me answers." Jax stopped pacing, studying her face. Whatever he saw there, determination, fear, stubborn courage, seemed to make up his mind. "Your brother wasn't just in debt to regular bookies." He sank onto her couch, elbows on knees. "The organization he owed, they're connected. High up." "Connected to what?" "The team." Jax's silence was answer enough. "The owner." Lena breathed. "Victor Crane runs a gambling ring?" "Not just gambling. Fixing games." Jax wouldn't meet her eyes. "Certain penalties, specific scores. All controlled. And you're part of it." "I didn't have a choice." His fists clenched. "They have leverage." The envelope from his car lay on her coffee table. Lena reached for it. "Don't," Jax warned, but made no move to stop her. Inside were medical records. Mia Coulter, 22. Multiple overdoses. Current status. Resident treatment for opioid addiction. And photographs. A pretty young woman with Jax's sharp jawline but softer eyes, looking fragile in a hospital bed. "Your sister." Lena looked up. "They're threatening her." Jax took the envelope back, his movements gentle despite his size. "Started 2 years ago. I got a video of Mia strung out in some motel. They said they'd keep her supplied, make sure she overdosed. Unless I played ball. So you take penalties on command. Lose games." "Sometimes." He rubbed his face. "Lately it's worse. They want information on other players. Vulnerabilities, addictions, debts. They're building a network. They already have one. They're expanding it." He leaned forward. "Your brother found out. Threatened to talk." The room seemed to tilt. "They killed him." "Not a question. Made it look like an overdose." Jax's voice was barely audible. "I heard about it after." Lena's eyes burned. She blinked hard, refusing to break. "Why tell me this now?" "Because they're going to kill you too." He met her gaze. "Unless you back off publicly. Write fluff pieces about my charity work. Act like your investigation hit a dead end. And if I don't? You already saw what happens." He gestured to her injured temple. "That was a warning. Next time they won't stop." She stood abruptly, pacing to her kitchen, mind racing. "This is bigger than hockey. Bigger than my brother. This is organized crime operating in professional sports. Which is why you need to drop it." "No." Lena turned, resolve hardening. "I need to expose it." The look Jax gave her was almost pitying. "With what proof?" "My word against a billionaire team owner?" "The envelope?" "They'll say you fabricated it." "Then we get more evidence. Recordings. Documents." "They'll kill Mia." "Not if we protect her first." Jax's bitter laugh held no humor. "You can't touch these people." "Nobody can. Danny deserves justice." Her voice cracked. "Your sister deserves freedom." Something changed in Jax's face. A flicker of what might have been hope before he crushed it. They owe me, Hart. Long as Mia's in that facility, they've got their hooks in deep. So we get her out. Somewhere safe. There is nowhere safe. He stood, moving toward her. You think I haven't tried? Private security? Fake names? They always find us. They stood inches apart now. Lena could smell his aftershave, see the tiny flecks of darker blue in his eyes. I need to know everything, she said. Every detail. Every player involved. Every fixed game. You're not listening. No, you're not listening. They killed my brother. I don't care what it costs. I'm taking them down. Something like respect flickered across Jax's face. He opened his mouth to respond when her phone rang. Her editor's name flashed on the screen. Lena answered, putting it on speaker. Mike, I got something huge. The team owner is running. Stop. Mike's voice was terse. Whatever you're about to say, don't. What? But. The Coulter story is dead. You're off it. Lena's stomach dropped. You can't pull me. This is bigger than we thought. It's done, Lena. Upper management decision. Non-negotiable. She glanced at Jax, who looked unsurprised. Mike, listen to me. My brother's death is connected to this. They're fixing games, threatening players. This goes higher than hockey, Lena. Mike's voice dropped. I got a visit today. Men in suits. Not asking nicely. So we're just backing down? Letting them win. We're staying alive. The line went quiet for a moment. I'm sorry about your brother. Truly. But this story will get you killed. The call ended. Lena stared at her phone, then hurled it across the room. It hit the wall with a crack. They got to your editor, Jax said quietly. You see how this works. They'll burn everything around you until there's nothing left. I'm not giving up. She brushed past him, pulling out her laptop. If my paper won't run it, I'll find another outlet. Jax caught her arm, his grip firm but not painful. They'll know. The minute you make contact with another reporter or editor, they'll know. Lena tried to pull away. Let go. Look at me. Something in his voice made her stop. Their eyes locked. I watched your brother die. I did nothing. His face was inches from hers. I won't watch you die too. The raw honesty in his voice stole her breath. Then help me, she whispered. Help me stop them. Before he could answer, the lights went out. Complete darkness engulfed the apartment. Jax's hand tightened on her arm. Don't move, he breathed against her ear. Outside, car doors slammed. They found us, he whispered. Back door. Now. Chapter 4. Lower your head. Jax guided Lena through the arena's service entrance, cap pulled low over his eyes. A security guard nodded, pretending not to notice them. 3 days since fleeing her apartment. 3 days of cheap motels paid in cash, burner phones, and looking over their shoulders. Why are we here? Lena whispered as they navigated dim corridors beneath the stands. You wanted proof. Jax checked his watch. Tonight's game is fixed. Third period, I take a 5-minute major when we're on a power play. You're going to throw the game? Even knowing I'm watching? His jaw tightened. I'm showing you how it works. Up close. He led her to a small viewing box, private, tucked away from regular seating. Stay here. Don't talk to anyone. He handed her a key card. If I don't come back after the game, this gets you out through the staff exit. You're expecting trouble. Always. His eyes lingered on her face. You still look like hell. Lena touched the bruise at her temple. Thanks a lot. For a moment, Jax's stern expression softened. Be careful, Hart. Watch the game, then get out. He was gone before she could respond. From her secluded box, Lena had a perfect view of the ice. The smell of stale beer and popcorn mingled with the sharp tang of refrigerated air. Below, players warmed up, skating lazy circles. Jax stood apart from his teammates, face a mask of concentration. When the team gathered for their huddle, he stayed at the fringe, nodding curtly at something the coach said. The game began, a blur of speed and precision. Lena found herself leaning forward, eyes tracking Jax's massive form as he patrolled the ice. He played with controlled violence, brutal yet elegant. Second period, the Predators led 2-1. Jax hadn't taken a single penalty, playing clean despite opportunities for conflict. Third period. The opposing team drew a penalty. Power play for the Predators. Lena held her breath. This was it. Jax lined up for the face-off. The puck dropped. A split second later he drove his elbow into the opposing center's face. Blatant, unmistakable. Blood spattered the ice. Whistles blew. Jax didn't argue as refs escorted him to the penalty box, face impassive while the crowd booed. 5-minute major. Just as he'd said. Without their enforcer, the Predators' power play fell apart. The opposing team scored twice during Jax's penalty. The game ended 3-2, Predators' loss. Just like he said. Lena waited in the box as the arena emptied, heart pounding. This was the story right here. Professional sports, corrupted at the highest level. Half an hour later, a sharp knock at the door made her jump. Jax entered, still in his Under Armour, hair damp from the shower. His expression was thunderous. You saw everything. She stood. Who gives the orders? How do they communicate during the game? My agent. Jax paced the small space. Text message before each period. Tells me what to do when to do it. And the money? Offshore account. Different amount each time. He stopped pacing. It's not about the cash. It's Mia. Your teammates know? Some suspect. Nobody talks. He stepped closer. We need to go. I told them I was meeting someone after the game. The burner phone they put in my bag. Was that a warning from Crane? Jax's brow furrowed. What burner? A chill ran through Lena. After our interview, someone slipped a phone in my bag with a message. Signed, Show me. Lena pulled the cheap phone from her jacket. Jax examined it, face darkening. This isn't from Crane. He handed it back. It's from Reese. Who's Reese? My teammate. Goalie. Jax's eyes narrowed. He's trying to warn you off independently. Why would he? Because he's next on their list. Jax grabbed her arm. We need to move. Now. They hurried through empty corridors, footsteps echoing. At a junction, Jax suddenly pushed her against the wall, his body shielding hers. Voices approached from the connecting hallway. Coulter's becoming a problem, a man was saying. Now he's meeting with that reporter again. Handle it, another voice replied. Both of them. Lena recognized the second voice. Victor Crane, team owner. The voices faded. Jax remained pressed against her, heartbeat pounding against her chest. His face inches from hers, eyes intense. They know, she whispered. They suspect. His breath was warm on her face. We need to disappear. Tonight. Something electric passed between them. Danger, adrenaline, shared purpose. His gaze dropped to her mouth. This is insane, she breathed. I barely know you. You know enough. His voice roughened. You know what matters. Before she could respond, he pressed his lips to hers. The kiss was desperate, angry, burning with frustration and fear. Lena's hands clutched his shirt, pushing him away and pulling him closer in the same confused movement. He broke away first, breath ragged. You want the truth? It'll destroy us both. I'm not afraid. You should be. His hands framed her face, surprisingly gentle. Everyone I care about gets hurt. Lena's heart stuttered. You don't care about me. I care about what happens to you. The distinction seemed important to him. More than I should. Footsteps approached again. Jax stepped back, professional mask sliding back into place. Service exit. Go. He pressed a key into her palm. Motel 6 on Riverside. Room 118. I'll meet you there. What about you? I'll create a distraction. Go clean out your locker, pretend everything's normal. She caught his arm. Be careful. Something like surprise flickered across his face. You too, Hart. The motel room was drab but clean. Lena paced, checking her watch every few minutes. 2 hours since they'd separated at the arena. Her burner phone buzzed. A message with an attachment. When she opened it, her blood froze. A photo of a young woman, Jax's sister, asleep in a hospital bed. Caption. Publish anything and she dies. The door opened. Jax entered, eyes immediately reading her expression. What happened? Wordlessly she showed him the phone. His face drained of color. They're watching her. His voice was hollow. 24/7. Jax. I have to end this. He snatched the phone, hurling it against the wall. Tattered. I have to get her out. We will. Lena stepped closer. We'll protect her. How? His eyes blazed. Tell me how, Hart, because I've spent 2 years trying. She took his hand, surprising them both. Together. We tell Crane we have evidence. Create leverage. What evidence? Your confession. The photo they just sent. Dates of fixed games. Not enough. He'd laugh. Then we get more. She squeezed his hand. Tonight we break into his office. Jax stared at her like she'd gone mad. That's suicide. Got a better idea? For a long moment he just looked at her. Then unexpectedly he laughed. A short, surprised sound. You're either the bravest or craziest woman I've ever met. Probably both. She didn't let go of his hand. You in? His fingers curled around hers. Yeah. I'm in. Chapter 5. The Predator's front office complex was dark, security lights casting long shadows across polished marble floors. Jax led Lena through a service corridor, security card in hand. Cleaning staff entrance, he explained, swiping the card. I lifted it from the equipment manager. He won't notice. By morning we'll either have what we need or be dead. Jax's face was grim in the dim light. His missing card will be the least of our problems. The door clicked open. A red security light blinked in the corner of the hallway. Cameras. Lena whispered. Loop to the security office. Unless someone's actively watching, we have about 20 minutes before the cycle flags an anomaly. They moved silently through darkened halls. The building felt alien at night, luxury suites and corporate boxes like sleeping beasts. How do you know so much about the security? Lena asked as they climbed a service stairwell. I've been planning this longer than you think. Jax paused at the landing. Just never had the guts to do it alone. Something about his admission, vulnerability from a man who seemed carved from stone, made Lena's chest tighten. Crane's office is on the top floor. Southeast corner. He checked his watch. 15 minutes left. The executive floor was plush, thick carpeting that swallowed their footsteps, wood-paneled walls lined with hockey memorabilia. Championship photos, signed jerseys in glass cases. Jax stopped at an imposing mahogany door. The nameplate read Victor Crane, owner. Locked, he muttered, examining the keypad. Damn it. Step aside. Lena pulled a small device from her pocket. USB code breaker. Journalist's best friend. Jax raised an eyebrow. Where'd you get that? My paper's tech reporter. Don't ask. She plugged it into the keypad's service port. Numbers flickered on its tiny screen. 4 minutes to cycle through combinations. We don't have 4 minutes. Then keep watch. She knelt by the door, eyes fixed on the device. Jax took position at the corner, tension radiating from his massive frame. If someone comes. I know. Run, not hide. Lena didn't look up. You've told me 3 times. The device beeped softly. The lock clicked. We're in. She unplugged the breaker, tucking it away. Crane's office was palatial, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city skyline, a desk the size of a small boat, leather furniture arranged around a gas fireplace. Hockey trophies gleamed in recessed lighting. Rich bastard, Jax muttered. Focus. Lena moved to the desk. Computers locked. Check the filing cabinets. They worked methodically, Lena attempting to crack the computer password, Jax rifling through files. Minutes ticked by. Nothing, Jax growled, slamming a drawer shut. Tax forms, marketing reports. Nothing about betting. He wouldn't keep that here, Lena said. Too obvious. Then where? Lena scanned the room. Her eyes landed on a framed photo. Crane with the championship trophy, his arm around a younger man. The son who died of an overdose 3 years ago. She crossed to the photo, examining the frame. Something about it. On impulse she lifted it from the wall. Behind it was a small wall safe. Jax. He moved beside her. Can your tech gadget open that too? No. This needs a combination. Jax studied the safe. Try October 15th, 22. What's that? The day his son died. Jax's voice was flat. People are predictable about grief. Lena dialed the numbers. The safe clicked open. Inside was a single ledger book, old school, handwritten. She flipped it open, heart racing. Dates. Player names. Dollar amounts. She turned pages quickly. This is it. Every fixed game for the past 3 years. Jax looked over her shoulder. My name's all over it. So is Danny's. Lena's finger traced her brother's name. Look at the date. 2 weeks before he died. A sticky note marked the page. Asterisk, heart problem eliminated. RC handled cleanup. Asterisk. RC, she whispered. Reaper Coulter? Jax's face went deathly pale. I never. His voice broke. I didn't know they would kill him. But you knew they were going to do something. Lena stepped back, ledger clutched to her chest. You knew my brother was in danger. I thought they'd threaten him, scare him. Not. He reached for her. She backed away. Don't touch me. Lena. The lights suddenly flooded on. They both froze. Well, isn't this cozy? Victor Crane stood in the doorway, silver-haired and elegant in an expensive suit despite the late hour. Behind him loomed 2 security guards, hands on their holstered weapons. Mr. Coulter. Crane's smile was cold. I expected better from my star enforcer. It's over, Crane. Jax moved slightly, positioning himself between Lena and the door. We have the ledger. Do you? Crane stepped forward, unconcerned. And what exactly do you plan to do with it? Go to the police? The press? He laughed. Who do you think owns them? Not everyone, Lena said, clutching the book tighter. Not me. Ah, the grieving sister. Crane's eyes were reptilian. Still seeking justice for poor Danny? Such dedication. You killed my brother. Your brother killed himself, Ms. Hart. We merely provided the opportunity. Crane adjusted his gold cufflinks. Just as we provide opportunities for Mr. Coulter's sister. Jax lunged forward. One of the guards drew his weapon. Careful, Crane warned. I'd hate to lose my best player. Especially before tomorrow's game. There is no game for me, Jax snarled. I'm done. Are you? Crane pulled out his phone, tapped the screen, turned it toward them. Live security footage from Second Chance. Mia Coulter's room, the young woman sleeping peacefully. A guard visible in the doorway. One word from me and she never wakes up. Lena felt Jax go rigid beside her. The ledger. Crane held out his hand. Please. For a moment no one moved. Then Lena stepped forward, ledger extended. Lena, don't, Jax began. It's not worth her life. She handed Crane the book, eyes never leaving his. But this isn't over. Crane's smile widened. Oh, I think it is, Ms. Hart. He nodded to the guards. One moved toward Jax, the other toward Lena. Take them downstairs, Crane ordered. The freezer room. Make it look like an accident. You can't just kill us, Lena said, fighting to keep her voice steady. People will ask questions. Will they? A disgraced hockey player with gambling debts. A reporter obsessed with conspiracy theories. Crane tucked the ledger under his arm. Murder-suicide has such a nice ring to it. The guard grabbed Lena's arm. She twisted, driving her elbow into his stomach. He doubled over. Jax exploded into motion, a blur of controlled violence. His fist connected with the second guard's jaw. The man went down hard, weapon clattering across the floor. The first guard recovered, reaching for his gun. Jax tackled him, both men crashing into Crane's desk. The computer monitor toppled, shattering. Lena dove for the fallen guard's weapon. Her fingers closed around cold metal. Footsteps pounded in the hallway. More security coming. Jax, she called, scrambling to her feet. We have to go. Jax delivered a final blow, leaving the guard unconscious. He grabbed the ledger from where Crane had dropped it. Crane himself cowered behind an overturned chair. You're dead, he spat. Both of you. No matter where you run. A gun cocked behind them. They whirled. In the doorway stood Warren Mills, Jax's manager, weapon aimed steadily at Lena's chest. Going somewhere? He asked pleasantly. Chapter 6. Pain. That was Lena's first conscious thought. Throbbing, insistent pain at the back of her skull. She tried to open her eyes. The light stabbed like needles. A groan escaped her lips. Easy, a woman's voice said. Concussion probably. Don't try to move too quickly. Lena forced her eyes open. White walls. Antiseptic smell. Hospital. What happened? Her voice was a rasp. A nurse adjusted something on her fore. You were found unconscious at the Predators arena. Security guard called the ambulance. Memory flooded back. Crane's office, the ledger, Warren with the gun. Jax, she blurted. Where's Jax Coulter? The nurse's expression changed. The hockey player. Police took him away. Police. Lena tried to sit up. Room spun. Why? Lie down, please. The nurse gently pushed her back. I don't know details. Something about assault charges. Lena's stomach clenched. I need my phone. Police have your personal effects. Part of the investigation. The nurse checked Lena's pupil response with a pen light. Detective will be in to speak with you when you're stable. I need to leave. Lena pushed the blankets aside. Ms. Hart. The nurse's voice firmed. You have a concussion and needed 6 stitches in your scalp. You're not going anywhere. As if to emphasize her point, the door opened. A man in a rumpled suit entered, badge clipped to his belt. Ms. Hart. Detective Powell. His smile didn't reach his eyes. Glad to see you're awake. Mind if I ask a few questions? The nurse gave Lena a warning look before stepping out. Powell took the visitor's chair, notebook ready. Want to tell me what you were doing in Victor Crane's office at 2 a.m.? Research. Not entirely a lie. I'm a reporter. Breaking and entering is a crime, Ms. Hart. Even for reporters. Where's Jax Coulter? Powell's eyebrow rose. Holding cell. Assault charges. Broke a security guard's jaw, cracked 3 ribs on another. He studied her face. Claims he was protecting you. He was. Crane threatened to kill us. Powell's tone was skeptical. Any reason the respected owner of a professional hockey team would want you dead? Because we found proof he's running a betting ring that fixes games. He had my brother killed. Powell's pen stopped moving. He looked up slowly. That's a serious accusation. Check his office. There's a ledger. We found no ledger, Ms. Hart. No evidence of any kind. Of course not. Crane would have hidden it immediately. Mr. Coulter claims the same thing. Powell closed his notebook. Convenient that there's no proof. You're working for him, Lena realized. Crane owns you too. Powell's face hardened. Careful, Ms. Hart. Accusations against a police officer are serious. So is corruption. I've heard about your theories. Your editor says you've become obsessed since your brother's death. Powell stood. Get some rest. When you're discharged, we'll discuss potential charges. He paused at the door. Oh, and don't try leaving town. Your passport's been flagged. After he left, Lena pulled herself from bed, ignoring the wave of nausea. She needed clothes, a phone, a way out. Her hospital gown provided little dignity as she peeked into the hallway. A police officer sat outside her door, scrolling through his phone. She closed the door silently. The window was her only option. 3 stories up, no fire escape. A knock startled her. The door opened before she could respond. Victor Crane entered, immaculate in a tailored suit, holding a bouquet of flowers. Ms. Hart. His smile was all teeth. How are you feeling? Lena backed away. Get out. Now, is that any way to treat a concerned friend? He set the flowers on the bedside table. I rushed over as soon as I heard. Where's the ledger? What ledger? His eyes gleamed with malice. You must be confused from your injury. There was no ledger. What do you want? To offer you a deal. Crane straightened his tie. Jax Coulter is facing serious charges. Assault, breaking and entering, possibly attempted murder. That's a lie. Is it? The security footage shows him attacking my guards unprovoked. Crane examined his manicured nails. Of course I could drop the charges. If you cooperate. Lena's heart pounded. What kind of cooperation? Write a story. Crane circled her bed like a shark. About Jax Coulter's gambling addiction. His debts. His violent tendencies. You want me to frame him. I want you to tell a different truth. Crane handed her a file. Bank statements showing his offshore accounts. Text messages to bookies. Failed drug tests covered up by the league. Lena flipped through the papers. Elaborate forgeries but convincing. This would destroy him. It would save him from prison. Crane's voice softened to a silky threat. and save his sister from an unfortunate overdose. You bastard. You have 24 hours to decide. He moved to the door. Oh, and Miss Hart? Your apartment suffered a small electrical fire last night. Such a tragedy. All your notes, research, gone. After he left, Lena sank onto the bed, mind racing despite the pain in her skull. She had no evidence, no allies, no way to reach Jax. Crane had systematically stripped away every option. Another knock at the door. The nurse entered with a dinner tray. You need to eat something, she said, setting it down. Doctor says you can be discharged tomorrow if the dizziness subsides. Has anyone else asked about me? Phone calls? Visitors? Just the police and Mr. Crane. The nurse adjusted Lena's for. Although a woman called the nurse's station earlier. Wouldn't leave her name. Lena's pulse quickened. Did she leave a message? Just said to tell you, second chance is watching Mia. The nurse frowned. Made no sense to me. But it made perfect sense to Lena. When the nurse left, she forced herself to eat despite her churning stomach. She needed strength. Night fell. The hospital quieted. The officer outside her door was replaced by another. Lena sat in darkness watching the clock. 3 a.m., shift change for hospital staff. She removed her four with trembling fingers, hissing at the sting. Using the sheet, she created a rope of sorts, tying it to the bed frame. It wouldn't reach the ground but might get her close enough to drop safely. The sheet rope secured, she eased the window open. Cold air rushed in. 3 stories. Concrete below. Fear paralyzed her for a moment. Then she thought of Jax in a cell. Mia in danger. She climbed out, clinging to her makeshift rope, bare legs dangling in the night air. The sheet stretched, threads popping. She lowered herself as far as possible, arms screaming with effort. Still too high. But there was no choice. Lena let go. The impact jarred every bone. She rolled, hospital gown tearing, skin scraping against concrete. But nothing broke. Staggering to her feet, she kept to shadows, bare feet numb on cold pavement. No money. No phone. No plan beyond escape. A car approached, headlights cutting through darkness. Lena pressed against a wall, holding her breath. The car slowed, stopping beside her. The passenger window lowered. Get in, a woman's voice commanded. Lena hesitated, squinting against the headlights. Hurry, the woman urged. Before security spots you. With no better options, Lena climbed in. As the car accelerated away from the hospital, she got her first look at the driver. Young, pretty despite exhausted eyes. Jax's jawline. Mia Coulter, Lena breathed. He told me you'd figure it out. Mia's smile was grim. Welcome to the resistance, Ms. Hart. Chapter 7. You're supposed to be in rehab, Lena said, clutching the thin hospital gown around herself. Mia had tossed her a blanket, but the car's heater struggled against the night chill. I checked myself out 3 days ago. Mia kept her eyes on the road, hands steady on the wheel. When Jax didn't answer my calls, I knew something was wrong. Despite her delicate appearance, Mia Coulter had the same intensity as her brother. A quiet determination behind her exhausted eyes. Clean but wearing the effects of a difficult withdrawal. How did you find me? Jax has a contact in dispatch. Old teammate who owes him. Mia took a sharp turn, checking the rear view. Called me when they brought you in. And Jax. Still in custody. Arraignment tomorrow. Mia's knuckles whitened on the steering wheel. Crane's pushing for maximum charges. No bail. Lena leaned back, head throbbing. Where are we going? Somewhere safe. For now. Mia glanced at her. You look like hell. Charming runs in the family, I see. The ghost of a smile touched Mia's lips. Jax said you were tough. He talked about me. Called me from lockup. Said you were the key to bringing Crane down. Mia's voice softened. Said I should trust you with my life. Something warm unfurled in Lena's chest. She pushed it away. Not the time for feelings. Crane visited me at the hospital, Lena said. Wants me to frame your brother for gambling. Write an exposé destroying his reputation. Will you? Of course not. Mia nodded as if confirming something to herself. Jax said you wouldn't. They drove in silence for a time, leaving the city behind. Suburbs gave way to rural darkness. The ledger, Lena said suddenly. From Crane's office. Did Jax mention it? Said Warren took it. Jax tried to fight but someone hit you from behind. Mia's expression darkened. Warren's been Crane's lapdog for years. Recruits vulnerable players, finds their weakness. Like your addiction. Mia's jaw tightened. I was their leverage over Jax. Perfect setup. How did it start? College party, bad decisions, worse friends. Mia stared at the road. Prescription painkillers after a skiing accident. Then harder stuff when those ran out. A story Lena had heard too many times. Danny's start hadn't been much different. Jax found me half dead in some dealer's apartment, Mia continued. Got me into rehab the first time. I was doing well. 6 months clean. Then Crane found you. His men approached me after a support group meeting. Showed me photos of Jax with his ex. Compromising stuff. Said they'd leak it to the press, ruin his image, his endorsements. Unless. She trailed off. Unless you started using again. Mia nodded. They wanted control over him. I was the way in. So you relapsed. Deliberately. With their supply. Self-loathing colored her voice. Jax found out. Tried to get me clean again. But every time they'd threaten him or me or both. Eventually they just kept me in that facility. A prisoner more than a patient. Why'd they let you go? They didn't. I walked out during shift change. They've been too focused on you and Jax to notice I'm gone. The car turned onto a gravel road, headlights illuminating dense trees on both sides. Up ahead, a small cabin emerged from the darkness. My grandfather's hunting cabin, Mia explained, parking. Off the grid. No electricity, but there's a generator. No one knows about it except Jax and me. Inside, the cabin was simple but clean. Mia lit oil lamps while Lena sank into a worn armchair, exhaustion overtaking her. Bathrooms through there, Mia pointed. I brought some clothes that might fit. First aid kit under the sink. Thank you, Lena said. For getting me out. For trusting me. Mia studied her. I don't trust easily. Not anymore. But Jax does apparently. That counts for something. Later, cleaned up and dressed in borrowed jeans and a sweater, Lena found Mia at the kitchen table, a battery-powered police scanner hissing static. Any news? Lena asked. Hospital discovered your escape. APB out. Mia pushed a mug of tea toward her. You're now a fugitive. Adds to my charm. Lena sipped the tea. We need to get Jax out. With what leverage? Mia spread her hands. We have no evidence, no money, no influence. We have the truth. Truth doesn't matter without proof. Mia's bitter laugh echoed her brother's. Crane owns the system. Not everyone. Lena set down her mug. My roommate from college, she works for the district attorney. She might listen. And risk her career. Her safety. She's the one who helped me start looking into Danny's death. Lena leaned forward. We need allies, Mia. We can't do this alone. The scanner crackled. Both women froze as a dispatcher's voice filled the cabin. All units, update on Coulter case. Suspect attacked officers during transfer. Currently at large. Considered armed and dangerous. Shoot too. Mia switched off the scanner, face pale. He escaped, Lena breathed. They'll kill him if they find him. Mia's voice shook. That attacked officer's line is a setup for deadly force. We need to reach him somehow. He'll come here. Eventually. Mia chewed her lip. If he can. Then we prepare. Get our story ready. Lena stood, ignoring her pounding head. I need paper pens. We document everything. Dates, names, events. For what? Your friend at the DA? For whoever will listen. Lena paced the small room. If we can't get the ledger back, we create our own evidence. Your testimony. My Jax is when he gets here. Mia watched her, something like hope kindling in her eyes. This really matters to you, doesn't it? It's not just a story. It's justice. For Danny. For you. Lena stopped pacing. For everyone they've used and discarded. The window shattered. Something metallic clattered across the floor. Gas. Mia screamed, lunging toward Lena. The canister exploded, not gas but a blinding flash. Disoriented, ears ringing, Lena felt herself pushed toward the back door. Run. Mia shouted, her voice distant through the high-pitched whine. Men in tactical gear poured through the front door. Not police. No insignia, no identifying marks. Lena stumbled outside, Mia close behind. The forest loomed, dark and impenetrable. This way. Mia grabbed her hand, pulling her toward the trees. There's an old hunting blind we can. A figure stepped from the shadows, blocking their path. In the moonlight, Victor Crane's silver hair gleamed like a halo. Ladies. His smile was cold. Let's not make this more difficult than necessary. Behind him stood Warren Mills, gun raised. Where's my brother? Mia demanded, stepping in front of Lena. Mr. Coulter has made a grave mistake. Crane sighed theatrically. But we're prepared to be merciful. If you cooperate. Go to hell, Mia spat. Such language from a lady. Crane sked. Miss Hart, I came to discuss our arrangement. The story you'll be writing about Jax Coulter's criminal activities. I told you I won't do it. Perhaps I should clarify what's at stake. Crane nodded to Warren, who raised a radio to his lips. Bring her, he said simply. From the darkness, two men emerged, dragging a struggling figure between them. Not Jax. A woman, middle-aged, terrified. Mom. Mia's voice cracked. The reunions today are heartwarming. Crane smiled. Mrs. Coulter has graciously agreed to help persuade you both. One of the men pressed a gun to the woman's temple. She whimpered. The story, Ms. Hart. Crane extended a USB drive. Already written. You just need to submit it under your byline. Lena felt the world narrowing to this impossible choice. Don't do it, Mia whispered. He'll kill us all anyway. Such pessimism, Crane chided. I'm a businessman. I honor agreements. Like you honored my brother's debts? Lena's voice shook with rage. Your brother was a liability. You don't have to be. Crane's patience visibly thinned. The drive, Ms. Hart. Take it. Lena stepped forward, hand outstretched. As her fingers closed around the USB, a single gunshot cracked through the night. Warren Mills dropped to the ground. Blood bloomed on his chest. The men holding Mrs. Coulter turned, weapons raised. Two more shots, precise, deadly. They fell without firing. Crane's eyes widened. He backed away, reaching inside his jacket. From the trees stepped Jax Coulter, face bruised, eyes murderous, smoking gun steady in his hand. Get away from my family, he growled. Chapter 8. Put the gun down, Jax, Crane said, hands raised placatingly. This isn't you. You're not a killer. Jax's face was a mask of controlled fury, weapon unwavering. Blood matted his hair on one side, his prison-issued shirt torn and filthy. Neither were you once. His voice was dangerously soft. Things change. Lena edged toward Mrs. Coulter, who stood frozen in shock. Mia had already reached her mother, arm protective around her shoulders. The men at the cabin, Jax said, never taking his eyes off Crane. How many? 4, Mia answered. All inside. Anyone we know? Reynolds. Penzie. Don't recognize the others. Jax nodded slightly. Take Mom and Lena. Car's half-mile east. Keys under the mat. I'm not leaving you, Mia protested. Yes. You are. Each word carved in ice. More gunshots erupted from the cabin. The tactical team firing blindly into the forest. Now, Mia. Something in his tone brooked no argument. Mia pulled her mother toward the trees, casting one desperate look back. Lena, go, Jax ordered, still covering Crane. But Lena stood her ground. Not without you. How touching, Crane sneered. The reporter and the hockey thug. Star-crossed lovers. Shut up. Jax took a step closer, gun aimed at Crane's chest. The ledger. Where is it? What ledger? Crane's smirk remained, but sweat beaded his forehead. Wrong answer. You won't shoot me, Coulter. You can't. Too many witnesses. What witnesses? Your men are occupied. Warren's dead. Jax's smile was terrible. Just you and me now. Lena saw the struggle behind Jax's eyes, the desire for vengeance warring with something deeper, something still uncorrupted. Jax, she said quietly. He's not worth it. Stay out of this, Hart. He wants you to shoot him. She took a careful step forward. Makes you the murderer. Him the victim. Gunfire from the cabin grew closer. The tactical team had spotted them. "We need to go," Lena urged. "Yow." For a heartbeat she thought Jax wouldn't listen. Then he lowered the gun slightly. "You're right." His eyes never left Crane. "He's not worth it." What happened next blurred in Lena's memory. Jax lunging forward, the butt of the gun connecting with Crane's temple. The older man crumpling like paper. Jax grabbed her hand. "Run." They plunged into the forest, branches whipping their faces. Behind them, shouts and flashlight beams pierced the darkness. Jax moved with surprising stealth for his size, guiding her through the underbrush. They ran until Lena's lungs burned, until her legs threatened to buckle. "Can't," she gasped. "Need to stop." Jax pulled her behind a massive fallen tree. "Catch your breath. 1 minute." In the dim moonlight filtering through the canopy, his injuries looked worse. Blood trickled from a cut above his eye. His knuckles were raw and swollen. "How bad are you hurt?" she whispered. "I'll live." He checked the gun's chamber. 2 bullets left. Escaped during transfer. Guard got sloppy with the cuffs. "You shot 3 men back there." "Non-lethal." His voice was flat. "Shoulder, leg. Won't kill them. Except Warren." Jax's eyes met hers, unapologetic. "Center mass. He wouldn't have hesitated with you or Mia." Distant voices carried through the trees. The search party spreading out. "They won't find the car," Jax said. "Not where I hid it." "How did you find us?" "Mia and I have protocols. Emergency meeting points." He listened intently to the forest sounds. "I was watching when they brought in your mother." "How did Crane find the cabin?" "Warren knew about it." Bitterness laced his words. "I trusted him once. Told him everything." The forest went suddenly silent. No birds, no insects. Just the increasing sound of men moving through underbrush. "They're getting closer," Lena whispered. Jax nodded toward a rocky outcropping. "There's a seasonal creek beyond that. Leads to the road." "Ready." They moved again, more carefully now. The outcropping loomed ahead, moonlight gleaming on wet stone. A figure stepped from behind a tree, blocking their path. One of Crane's men, rifle raised. "Stop right there, Coulter." Jax pushed Lena behind him, subtly shifting his weight forward. The man's finger tightened on the trigger. A sound like a thunderclap, but not gunfire. Something massive and dark hurtled from the shadows, colliding with the gunman. The rifle discharged harmlessly into the air as both figures crashed to the ground. "A dog, no a wolf?" The animal snarled, pinning the man, teeth bared at his throat. "What the hell?" Lena breathed. "Wolf shepherd mix." Jax moved forward cautiously. "Ranger. My grandfather's dog. Still guards the property." The massive animal's ears pricked at Jax's voice. Its tail wagged once, but it didn't release its prisoner. "Good boy," Jax murmured, bending to retrieve the fallen rifle. "Stay." The dog's weight immobilized the guard, who lay perfectly still, eyes wide with terror. "Please," the man whispered. "Call it off. After you tell me where the ledger is." Jax crouched beside him. "Crane must keep it somewhere." "I don't know about any ledger," the man gasped. "I just take orders." "Wrong answer." Jax nodded slightly. The dog growled, teeth inching closer to the man's throat. "Wait." The man's voice rose in panic. "Safety deposit box. First National downtown branch. Key. Around his neck. Always wears it." Jax straightened. "Stay, Ranger." "Guard." The dog settled, massive paws on the man's chest, amber eyes alert. "He'll watch you till morning," Jax told the terrified guard. "Move and he'll tear your throat out. You can't leave me here." "Better odds than you gave my sister." Jax turned away, nodding for Lena to follow. They reached the creek bed, dry this time of year but a clear path through the forest. No more encounters with search parties. Either the dog had scared them off or they were searching in the wrong direction. After 20 minutes, the trees thinned. A dirt road appeared, and beyond it an ancient pickup truck hidden under camouflage netting. Jax pulled the covering away. "It's my grandfather's. Hasn't been registered in years." "Will it run?" "Have to risk it." He opened the passenger door for her. "Mia and my mother should be ahead of us by now." The truck started with a protesting rumble. Jax navigated the dirt road carefully, headlights off, relying on moonlight. Where are we going? Lena asked, the adrenaline crash leaving her shaky. Motel first. Regroup. Then. He exhaled heavily. I don't know. The safety deposit box. If we could get Crane's key. He'll have moved it by morning. He's not stupid. They reached pavement, the truck picking up speed. What about your teammates? Lena suggested. Would any help? Most are too scared. Or compromise themselves. Jax's hands tightened on the wheel. Maybe Reese. Our goalie. He's been trying to get out from under Crane for years. Who texted me? Probably. Jax glanced at her. You look like you're about to collapse. Concussions will do that. She tried to smile, but it felt more like a grimace. How long were you watching the cabin before you stepped in? Long enough to hear you refuse Crane's offer. His eyes returned to the road. You could have taken the easy way out. Written that story about me. That was never an option. Why? The question seemed to surprise even him. Because I'm falling for you, she thought. Out loud she said, because it's wrong. Because Danny deserves justice. Because. She hesitated. Because you don't deserve to be sacrificed. The truck slowed as they approached a small town. A neon vacancy sign glowed in the distance. I told you I knew about your brother, Jax said suddenly. That I did nothing. You didn't kill him. I could have warned him. Should have. His profile was sharp in the dashboard light. I was protecting Mia. Myself. We all have regrets, Jax. He pulled into the motel lot, parking around back where the truck wouldn't be visible from the road. Stay here, he ordered, hand on the door handle. Jax. She caught his arm. Thank you. For coming back for us. He looked down at her hand on his arm, then up to her face. Something shifted in his expression, the ice in his eyes thawing slightly. Always, he said quietly. The simple word carried a weight that settled in Lena's chest, warm and unexpected. Before she could respond, he was gone, heading toward the motel office. Lena watched through the windshield as he spoke with the night clerk, passed cash across the counter, received a key. 5 minutes later, she was inside a shabby but clean room, curtains drawn tight. Mia texted, Jax said, showing her a burner phone. They're safe. Different motel 20 miles east. Good. Exhaustion hit Lena like a wave. She sank onto the bed's edge. What's our next move? Rest. Regroup. Figure out how to get that ledger. Jax checked the window, peering through a crack in the curtains. And keep you alive long enough to write the real story. You should be more worried about yourself. They're shooting to kill you, remember? I'm used to people wanting me dead. He turned from the window, something vulnerable flickering across his face. Not used to people standing beside me when it happens. The space between them seemed to compress. Lena felt the pull of him, dangerous, wounded, unexpectedly honorable. Get some sleep, Hart, he said, breaking the moment. Tomorrow we burn it all down. Lena lay back on the bed, the room spinning slightly from her concussion. Through half-closed eyes, she watched Jax settle into the room's only chair, gun within reach, body between her and the door. Standing guard. Protecting her. The last thing she saw before sleep claimed her was his profile in the dim light, solid and unwavering. Chapter 9. Morning sunlight filtered through threadbare curtains. Lena woke disoriented, the unfamiliar motel room swimming into focus. Her head still throbbed, but the worst of the concussion fog had lifted. Jax stood at the window, profile harsh in the golden light, phone pressed to his ear. I don't care what they're saying. His voice was low, controlled. It's all lies. Lena sat up, catching his attention. He nodded acknowledgement but continued his conversation. No official comment. Nothing. He rubbed his face wearily. Tell Mia to keep Mom away from TVs and phones. He hung up, setting the burner phone aside. What's happening? Lena asked. We're famous. Jax tossed a newspaper onto the bed. Front page. The headline screamed in bold type. Hockey star Jax Coulter flees police. Illegal gambling ring exposed. Below, a smaller headline. Reporter Lena Hart implicated as accomplice. Lena scanned the article, stomach sinking. It detailed Jax's supposed gambling addiction, her alleged complicity in covering for him while he fixed games. According to the story, she'd helped him evade arrest when authorities closed in. They're saying I was your accomplice? That we were working together to fix games. Crane's controlling the narrative. Jax's expression was grim. Your editor gave an interview expressing shock and disappointment at your deception. Mike wouldn't. He did. Jax's tone left no room for argument. Said you'd been unstable since your brother's death. Obsessed with conspiracy theories. The betrayal stung more than it should have. Lena had known Mike was scared, but this? What about the police? Are they looking for us? Manhunt. My face is everywhere. Jax's laugh held no humor. Usually I have to win a championship for this much publicity. Lena pushed herself off the bed, legs steadier than yesterday. We need to fight back. Get our side of the story out. With what evidence? It's our word against a billionaire team owner and the entire police department. The ledger is in a safety deposit box we can't access. Protected by a key we don't have. Lena paced the small room. There must be someone who'll listen. Someone Crane doesn't own. You're not thinking clearly. Jax blocked her path. Step outside, someone will recognize us in 5 minutes. Especially now. He was right. Frustration built in her chest, threatening to overflow. I can't just hide while they destroy our reputations. While they get away with killing Danny. Something in Jax's face softened. I know. He hesitated, then stepped closer. But getting caught won't bring justice either. The proximity sent warmth through Lena's body despite the situation. She became acutely aware of his size, his presence, the underlying danger that clung to him like cologne. I hate feeling powerless, she admitted. Join the club. His eyes held hers. Been feeling that way for 2 years. A knock at the door broke the moment. Both froze. Another knock, then, housekeeping. Jax motioned Lena back, retrieving the gun from the nightstand. He approached the door silently. We're good, he called. Come back later. Silence, then footsteps retreating. We can't stay here, Lena said. If they're looking for us. Already handled. Checkout's in an hour. I've got a new location. How are you so calm about this? His smile was bitter. Practice. Spent my whole career with people gunning for me. Just usually on the ice, not off it. While Jax showered, Lena studied the newspaper more carefully. The story was masterfully crafted, just enough truth mixed with lies to seem credible. Photos of her and Jax leaving the arena together. His bruised knuckles highlighted with an arrow. A separate sidebar detailed her brother's addiction and suicide, implying she'd fabricated the murder theory out of grief and delusion. The bathroom door opened. Jax emerged in fresh clothes. Jeans and a plain black t-shirt that Lena assumed Mia had brought to the cabin. Your turn, he said. There's a drugstore bag with some basics. The hot water was divine, washing away grime and some of her fatigue. The drugstore bag contained shampoo, toothpaste, a cheap hairbrush. Small mercies. When she emerged, Jax was on the phone again, tension evident in his posture. They did what? His voice had dropped to a dangerous register. When? Lena dressed quickly, alarmed by his tone. Keep her there, he ordered whoever was on the line. I'm coming. He hung up, jaw tight. Crane's men found Mia and my mother. Surrounded their motel an hour ago. Lena's blood ran cold. Are they? They got out. Barely. Mia's friend picked them up. He grabbed the meager belongings they'd accumulated. We need to move. Now. Where are we going? Reese's lake house. Off-season, no neighbors for miles. You trust him? He contacted me. Says he has something we need. Jax checked the parking lot through the curtains. Clear for now. They left through the back exit, Jax scanning constantly for threats. The old pickup started reluctantly, coughing before the engine caught. If Reese contacted you, Lena said as they pulled onto the highway, couldn't he be setting us up? Possible. Jax drove exactly at the speed limit, hands relaxed on the wheel despite the circumstances. But unlikely. Crane has leverage on him too. What kind? Same as most guys. Vices, weaknesses. Jax glanced at her. Reese likes men. League's still not as progressive as they pretend to be. Lena processed this. So Crane threatened to out him? Among other things. Jax's expression darkened. Crane's an expert at finding pressure points. They drove in silence for a while, countryside replacing urban sprawl. Lena's mind raced with possibilities, strategies, all frustratingly incomplete without evidence. You never asked, Jack said suddenly. Asked what? If it was true. The gambling addiction. The game fixing. I don't need to ask. She studied his profile. I've seen enough to know when someone's being coerced. Something passed across his face. Relief, gratitude, something deeper. I did bet, he admitted. Years ago. Small stuff, never on my own games. Mia was struggling with addiction, I was stressed. Made stupid choices. And Crane found out. Warren did. Recruited me for smaller things at first. Taking specific penalties. Nothing that would affect game outcomes. His knuckles whitened on the wheel. Kept escalating after they got to Mia. Told me it was the only way to keep her treatment paid for. You could have gone to the police. With what? My word against theirs. And Mia would have been dead before I finished filing the report. The same impossible choice Lena now faced. Silence or destruction. Your brother, Jack said quietly. He was a good guy. Before the addiction. The change of subject caught her off guard. You knew him well? Played together in the minors. He was talented, funny. Then got hurt, shoulder surgery, prescribed painkillers. Jax's eyes remained on the road. Common story. Why didn't you tell me before? That you knew him personally? Would you have believed anything I said? The question wasn't accusatory, just honest. You thought I was involved in his death. I still don't understand your connection to all this. Jax was silent for so long Lena thought he wouldn't answer. Danny figured it out, he finally said. The game fixing. Confronted me after seeing me take a deliberate penalty. His voice roughened. I denied everything. Pushed him away. He started digging on his own. And found evidence. Enough to threaten Crane. Jack swallowed hard. I warned him to drop it. He wouldn't listen. He was stubborn. The ghost of a smile touched Lena's lips. Like me. Exactly like you. Jax's eyes met hers briefly. That's why I got scared when you started asking questions. Saw the same determination. They turned onto a narrow road leading into dense forest. Pines crowded close, dappling the truck with shadow patterns. I should have done more, Jack said so quietly Lena almost missed it. For Danny. For Mia. You were trapped. That's what I told myself. Self-loathing colored his voice. Easier than admitting I was a coward. A coward wouldn't have rescued us at the cabin. Lena reached across the seat, touching his arm. Wouldn't be risking his life now. The contact seemed to surprise him. He glanced down at her hand, then back to the road. Better late than never, I guess. A large cabin appeared ahead, perched on the shore of a small lake. Modern architecture, glass and timber. A black SUV was parked outside. Reese's car, Jax confirmed, tension returning to his shoulders. Stay behind me. If anything feels wrong. I run. I know the drill. His lips quirked in what might have been a smile. You're learning. They approached cautiously. Before they reached the door, it swung open. A lean man with a goalie's watchful eyes nodded at them. Cutting it close, Reaper. He glanced nervously past them. Get inside. Quickly. The lake house interior was spacious and minimalist. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of the water. Anyone follow you? Reese asked, securing the door. Don't think so. Jax did a quick visual sweep of the room. Mia. Guest bedroom. With your mom. Reese jerked his head toward a hallway. They got here an hour ago. Pretty shaken up. Relief flashed across Jax's face. He hesitated, then extended his hand. Thanks, man. Reese clasped it. Don't thank me yet. He turned to Lena. Ms. Hart. Your reputation precedes you. All lies, I assure you, she said dryly. I'm counting on that. Reese moved to a sleek laptop on the kitchen counter. Because I've got something you both need to see. Chapter 10. First things first, Reese said, sliding his laptop aside. You both need to see who you're up against. He grabbed a remote, turning on a wall-mounted TV. A press conference filled the screen. Victor Crane at a podium, expression grave. Beside him stood Detective Powell and a man Lena recognized as the league commissioner. Deeply disappointed by these revelations, Crane was saying. Jax Coulter was like a son to me. To discover his involvement in gambling, it's heartbreaking. Lying bastard, Jax muttered. Crane continued, voice dripping sincerity. Ms. Hart appeared to be writing a legitimate profile on Jax. We now believe she was his accomplice, helping launder money through offshore accounts. Offshore accounts? Lena exclaimed. That's completely fabricated. Reese raised the volume as the commissioner stepped forward. The integrity of the game is our highest priority, he intoned. We're conducting a thorough investigation into all games Mr. Coulter participated in during the past 3 seasons. Detective Powell took the microphone next. We have reason to believe Coulter and Hart may be armed and dangerous. The public should not approach them. Armed and dangerous. Jax's bitter laugh held no humor. That's rich. There's more. Reese changed channels to a sports network. Lena's stomach dropped as she saw the breaking news banner. Coulter's teammates speak out. We suspected something was wrong. The screen showed interviews with several Predators players, all expressing shock and betrayal. Most damning was the team captain looking directly into the camera. Jax would disappear after games, especially losses. Wouldn't answer calls. Always had cash even when complaining about bills. The captain shook his head sadly. Looking back, the signs were there. Jax's face hardened with each word. Henderson knows that's bullshit. I was visiting Mia those nights. They're all reading from Crane's script, Reese said, muting the TV. Most don't have a choice. Like you didn't? Jax's tone wasn't accusatory, just resigned. I played my part. Reese didn't flinch from the implied criticism. Until now. Why help us? Lena asked. You're risking everything. Because I'm tired of living in fear. Reese's voice hardened. And because of this. He opened his laptop, clicking through folders until he found a video file. Security footage from the arena. Night Danny Hart died. Lena's breath caught. How did you get this? I keep copies of things. Insurance. Reese hit play. Watch. The footage showed a service corridor deep in the arena. Timestamp. 1:27 a.m. almost 2 years ago. 2 figures appeared. Danny visibly agitated and Victor Crane looking coldly amused. No sound but the body language told the story. Danny gesturing wildly. Crane dismissive. Then Crane beckoning to someone off camera. Warren Mills appeared, followed by a third man Lena didn't recognize. Who's that? She asked. Team doctor, Jax answered, face grim. Peters. On screen, Danny backed away as the 3 men approached. Warren grabbed him, the doctor producing a syringe. Lena's hand flew to her mouth as she watched her brother struggle, then go limp as the needle plunged into his arm. The men carried Danny's unconscious body off camera. Timestamp. 1:36 a.m. 9 minutes. 9 minutes that changed everything. They killed him, she whispered. Just like that. Overdose made to look self-inflicted. Reese closed the laptop. I found this footage a month after it happened. Crane discovered I had it. That's his leverage over you, Jax realized. Part of it. Reese's smile was bitter. He said if I went public I'd meet the same fate. Then he found other ways to control me. Why show us now? Lena asked. Because you're already fighting. And because Crane crossed a line targeting players' families. Reese looked at Jax. When he went after your mother, I knew he'd never stop. Jax paced the room, coiled energy with nowhere to go. This footage proves Danny was murdered. But not the gambling operation. I have more, Reese said. Bank transfers. Dates of fixed games. Not everything but enough to start. Hope flickered in Lena's chest. We can take this to federal authorities. Bypass the local police entirely. Not yet. Jax stopped pacing. Crane still has people watching Mia's facility. Staff we can't identify. Then we get her out first, Lena said. Somewhere truly safe. Where? There's nowhere he can't reach. The sound of a door opening interrupted them. Mia appeared, looking exhausted but determined. Her eyes lit up at the sight of her brother. Jax. She crossed the room, embracing him fiercely. For a moment the hardened enforcer disappeared. Jax held his sister, eyes closed, relief evident on his face. You got out, he murmured. You're okay. Barely. Mia stepped back. Mom's finally sleeping. They had men at every exit. If Tracy hadn't created a distraction. Tracy. Lena interrupted. My counselor at Second Chance. Mia's expression darkened. She's been helping me gather evidence against them for months. Evidence? Jax and Lena spoke simultaneously. Patient records. Fake treatments billed to insurance. Medications diverted to dealers. Mia looked between them. Second Chance isn't just a rehab facility. It's part of Crane's operation. A laundering front. Reese whistled low. That would explain a lot. Tracy hid a flash drive for me before I left. Mia produced a small device from her pocket. Everything's here, including records of who checked Lena Hart into the facility the night he died. Lena's heart pounded. Who? Mia's eyes met hers. Victor Crane and the team doctor. They logged him as a voluntary admission for detox. Security footage shows them carrying him in unconscious. Same night as the arena footage, Reese confirmed. Tracy said they kept him sedated for hours. Administered multiple doses of opioids. Mia's voice softened with compassion. When his heart stopped, they made it look like he'd injected himself. The room spun. Lena gripped the back of a chair, knuckles white. 2 years of questions. 2 years of being told she was paranoid, delusional with grief. And here was proof, cold, clinical documentation of her brother's murder. I need air, she managed, moving toward the deck doors. Outside, the lake stretched calm and blue, a mockery of the storm inside her. She heard the door slide open behind her, knew without turning it was Jax. I'm fine, she said, not looking at him. No, you're not. He moved beside her, keeping a respectful distance. And that's okay. The simple acknowledgement cracked something in her. Tears came suddenly, violently. Lena bent forward, arms wrapped around herself as if containing physical pain. After a moment she felt Jax's hand on her back, tentative, gentle for a man his size. Not pushing, just present. When the worst passed, she straightened, wiping her face. Sorry. Don't apologize. His voice was rough with emotion. I should be the one apologizing. For what? I knew something was wrong with Danny's death. Suspected Crane's involvement. His eyes held genuine regret. But I convinced myself it wasn't my problem. That I needed to protect Mia. You were trapped. I was a coward. The self-hatred in his voice was raw. I let them use me. Let them get away with murder. Lena turned to face him fully. You're here now. Fighting back. Too late for Danny. But not for his justice. She searched his face. Not for Mia. Not for all the others they've used. Something shifted in Jax's eyes. A decision crystallizing. I've been protecting my career, my reputation. Even after knowing what Crane did. His jaw tightened. No more. What are you saying? I'm saying we take everything public. All of it. He gestured toward the house. Reese's footage. Mia's records. My testimony. Crane will destroy you. Your career will be over. It already is. Jax's voice held grim acceptance. The moment I refused to throw the championship game, I was done. The championship, when was this? 3 days before our first interview. His smile held no humor. Why do you think I agreed to talk to you? I was looking for a way out. A journalist with no connection to Crane. The revelation stunned her. You were going to confess? To me. Until I realized who you were. Danny's sister. Guilt flashed across his face. I couldn't face you knowing what I knew. Inside, voices rose. They turned to see Reese gesturing urgently through the glass door. When they re-entered, the TV was showing breaking news. Helicopter footage of police vehicles surrounding a lakefront property. This property. How did they find us? Lena asked. GPS in my SUV. Reese was already moving, grabbing essentials. Stupid mistake. Should have switched vehicles. How long do we have? Jax demanded. Minutes. Those choppers are 10 miles out max. Mia appeared from the hallway, supporting their mother, a frail woman with Jax's eyes. We need to split up, Jax decided, taking charge. They'll be watching all vehicles leaving. I have a boat, Reese said. Small cabin cruiser. Docked out back. Good. Mia, take Mom and Lena on the boat. Jax's voice left no room for argument. Head north toward the state park. Lots of coves to hide in. What about you? Lena demanded. Reese and I will take the cars. Create a diversion. His eyes met hers. Buy you time to get away. No. We stay together. This isn't a debate, Hart. He's right, Mia said gently. We need to protect the evidence. If we're all caught together, they'll kill us all, Jax finished bluntly. Insurance. Lena knew he was right, but something deep inside rebelled at the thought of separation. You'll be arrested, she said. Or worse. Maybe. His determination was absolute. But Danny's murder won't be buried again. And Crane won't get away with it. Outside, distant sirens wailed. Time to go, Reese urged, handing Mia keys and a phone. Coordinates are programmed in the GPS. My contact will meet you at the North Dock. Mrs. Coulter clutched her son's arm. Jackson, please. It's okay, Mom. Jax's voice gentled. I'll find you. I promise. He turned to Lena, conflict evident in his eyes. The evidence, she said, extending her hand for the flash drive. I'll protect it. Instead of giving it to her, Jax pulled her close, his mouth finding hers in a fierce, desperate kiss. Heat exploded between them. Passion, fear, need, all tangled together. His hands framed her face, surprisingly gentle despite the urgency. When he pulled back, his eyes burned into hers. I knew from the first interview, he said hoarsely. Something about you. Something I couldn't ignore. Jax. Stay alive, Hart. He pressed the flash drive into her palm, closing her fingers around it. Write the story. End this. The sirens grew louder. No more time. Reese was already moving toward the garage. Mrs. Coulter and Mia headed for the dock. This isn't goodbye, Lena said fiercely. For the first time since she'd met him, Jax Coulter smiled. A genuine smile that transformed his hard features. See you on the other side, reporter. He backed away, eyes holding hers until the last possible moment. Then he was gone, running toward the garage. Lena clutched the flash drive, heart pounding. Now they had proof. Now they had truth. And she had something far more dangerous. Feelings for a man who'd just sacrificed himself to save her. Chapter 11. Water slapped against the hull as Reese's cabin cruiser cut through the lake. Lena stood at the stern, watching police lights flash through the trees surrounding the house they'd fled. Two vehicles, Reese's SUV and a sedan, tore down the driveway, sirens wailing in pursuit. The diversion was working. We should go below, Mia said, touching her arm. In case they have helicopters. Lena nodded, following her into the small cabin. Mrs. Coulter sat on a narrow bench, hands tightly clasped. Will they hurt him? She asked as Lena entered. Her voice trembled. Jackson. Mom, don't, Mia murmured. No, it's a fair question. Lena sat opposite the worried mother. They want Jax alive. For show. A public arrest looks better than, she stopped herself. He'll be okay. The lie tasted bitter. They all knew Crane had every reason to want Jax silenced permanently. He's survived worse, Mia said with forced optimism. Remember that playoff game against Boston? Broken collarbone, still finished the game. Mrs. Coulter managed a wan smile. Always too stubborn for his own good. The boat's engine changed pitch as they entered a narrow channel. North shore, just as Jax had directed. Thick forest lined both banks, providing cover. Who's this contact we're meeting? Lena asked. Reese didn't say. Mia checked the GPS on the phone. Just coordinates and a time. 1 hour from now. Lena felt the flash drive in her pocket, its small weight suddenly immense with responsibility. Evidence of murder, corruption, a conspiracy spanning years. We need backup copies, she decided. Insurance in case we're separated. The laptop in the storage locker, Mia suggested. Passwords on a sticky note underneath. While Mia steered, Lena retrieved the computer. Simple enough to copy the files, encrypt them, send to multiple secure cloud accounts. Your friend Tracy, Lena said as she worked. Will she be safe at second chance? She's already gone. Left right after hiding the drive. Mia's expression was grim. We had a contingency plan. She knew helping me meant burning her life down. Another ally risking everything. The list grew longer. When the files were secured, Lena sat with the laptop examining the evidence. Patient records, financial documents, security logs. Danny's name appeared repeatedly: admission forms, medication charts, falsified consent documents. The clinical detachment of his murder hit harder than any emotional confession could have. Dosages carefully calculated to simulate overdose. Times recorded with cold precision. And a final note: situation resolved. VK satisfied with outcome. Victor Crane. The boat slowed, engine quieting to a low rumble. They'd reached a secluded cove hidden from the main lake by a finger of land. "This is it," Mia announced, cutting the engine entirely. "Tau we wait." 40 minutes passed in tense silence. Mrs. Coulter dozed fitfully. Mia checked the phone every few minutes, hoping for news from Jax or Reese. Nothing. A soft bump against the hull startled them all. A small fishing boat had pulled alongside, piloted by a weathered man in his 60s. "Reese sent you?" Mia called cautiously. The man nodded. "Martin. Friend of the family." He gestured to his boat. "Better switch. They'll be looking for this cruiser." The transfer was awkward but quick. Martin's boat was simple, designed for fishing rather than comfort, but its unremarkable appearance was an asset. "News?" Lena asked as they settled in. Martin shook his head grimly. "Police scanner says they caught one. Haven't said who. Jax or Reese. No way to know." "Where are we heading?" Mia asked. "My fishing cabin. Off-grid, no road access." Martin steered them along the shoreline, keeping close to overhanging trees. "Been in my family 3 generations. Not on any rental lists or property records. Perfect anonymity. But how long could they hide?" As if reading her thoughts, Martin added, "Got a satellite phone there. Untraceable. You can make your calls safely." Lena's journalistic instincts kicked in. "You seem very prepared for harboring fugitives." Martin's weathered face creased in a humorless smile. "Reese helped my grandson when that bastard Crane tried to destroy him. Team equipment manager caught a betting slip in Crane's office. Next thing, cocaine appears in his locker. Another victim. The pattern was depressingly familiar. Is your grandson? Canada. New identity." Martin's voice roughened. "Hasn't seen his mother in 2 years." The fishing cabin proved to be little more than a shack, but sturdy and clean. Single room with bunks, wood stove, small kitchen area. Windows overlooked the lake, offering visibility of approaching boats. "Generators out back," Martin explained, lighting an oil lamp. "Bathrooms the outhouse 20 yards that way. Not fancy, but it's safe." "Thank you," Mrs. Coulter said with quiet dignity. "For risking yourself." "Don't thank me yet." Martin produced the promised satellite phone. "Make your calls. I'll keep watch." Alone with the phone, the 3 women faced the question. Who could they trust? My college roommate, Lena decided. Rebecca works for the U.S. Attorney's Office now. White-collar crime division. Government. Mia's skepticism was evident. Crane has people everywhere. Not Becky. She's been helping me research Danny's case unofficially. Lena dialed from memory, heart pounding. 1 ring. 2. Then, "This is Rebecca Chen." "Becky, it's Lena. Don't react to my voice." Pause. "I understand. Go ahead. I have proof of everything. Danny's murder. The gambling ring. All of it. You're all over the news, Lena. They're saying it's lies. All of it. Crane is behind everything." Another pause. "I believe you. But this is bigger than my jurisdiction. You need federal protection. That's why I called." "Where are you?" Lena hesitated. Years of friendship versus days of betrayal and danger. "I can't say." "Smart." Becky's voice lowered. "Listen carefully. I have a contact in the FBI. Special Task Force on Sports Corruption. I'll arrange a meeting. Neutral location. When? Tomorrow. Noon. The old boathouse at Crystal Point." Lena knew it. Public enough to be safe, isolated enough for privacy. "I'll be there." "Come alone. Bring the evidence." Becky's tone shifted to professional efficiency. "And Lena, be careful. Crane has friends in high places." The call ended. Lena relayed the plan to the others. "Sounds too risky," Mia objected. "What if it's a trap? Becky wouldn't betray me." "Everyone has a pressure point," Mrs. Coulter said quietly. "Your brother was yours. Mia was Jackson's." The simple wisdom hit home. Even the most loyal friend could be compromised. We need a contingency plan, Lena acknowledged. If I'm not back by 2, we take the evidence to the press directly. Mia's expression hardened. All of it. A distant mechanical drone interrupted them. Getting louder. Helicopter, Martin said grimly, peering through the window. Police by the sound. They doused the lamp, huddling in darkness as searchlights swept the shoreline. The helicopter circled once, twice, then moved north. They're searching methodically, Martin observed. Won't be long before they cover this area properly. We need to move, Mia decided. Before dawn. Where? Mrs. Coulter asked, exhaustion evident in her voice. No one had an answer. Martin's radio crackled to life. A news broadcast. Breaking development in the Coulter case. Sources confirm hockey star Jax Coulter has been apprehended following a high-speed chase. His alleged accomplice, goaltender Michael Reese, remains at large. Police say Coulter is cooperating with authorities. Mia's face drained of color. Cooperating? He wouldn't. It's a lie, Lena said with certainty. Trying to flush us out. Or break his spirit, Mrs. Coulter added softly. The broadcast continued. A press conference is scheduled for 9 a.m. tomorrow, where Coulter is expected to make a full confession regarding the gambling operation and his role in it. The trap was obvious. Lena voiced what they were all thinking. They're forcing him to lie. To save us. Or they'll kill him. Mia's voice shook. Like they killed your brother. Decision crystallized in Lena's mind. I need to get to a computer. A real one with internet. Why? Martin asked. Because we're not waiting for tomorrow's meeting. Her pulse raced with determination. We're releasing everything tonight. All the evidence all at once. They'll trace it, Mia warned. Not if we use the right channels. Lena's mind raced through possibilities. Anonymous servers. Multiple platforms simultaneously. Once it's out, it can't be contained. Crane's people will deny everything. Call it fake. Not with video evidence. Not with financial records this detailed. Martin cleared his throat. My nephew runs the internet cafe in town. Opens at 6 a.m. Computers, Wi-Fi. He'd let us in early, no questions. A plan formed. Risky, but with Jax in custody, waiting was riskier. If we do this, Mia said, there's no going back. For any of us. There's already no going back. Lena met her gaze steadily. Not since they took Jax. Something passed between the women. Understanding, determination, shared purpose. You care about him. Not a question from Mia. More than the story. Lena didn't deny it. Both matter. Mrs. Coulter took Lena's hand, her grip surprisingly strong. Save my son. Whatever it takes. We leave at 5, Martin decided, checking his watch. Try to rest until then. Rest seemed impossible, but Lena forced herself to lie down. Her mind raced with strategies, contingencies, the enormity of what they were about to do. And beneath it all, one persistent thought. Jax in custody, perhaps being coerced, perhaps being harmed. The man who'd kissed her like she was oxygen, who'd stepped in front of danger to protect her, who carried guilt like armor. We're coming, she whispered into the darkness. Hold on. Dawn broke gray and misty as they approached the small town in Martin's truck. The internet cafe was dark, but a light burned in the back office. Neil's expecting us, Martin said, leading them to a rear entrance. Inside, a young man with Martin's eyes nodded a greeting. Computers are ready. Disabled the security cameras and logging software. 1 hour, Martin warned. Then the morning rush starts. Lena sat at the main computer, flash drive in hand. The familiar routine of journalism calmed her racing thoughts. Create the document, organize the evidence, craft the narrative. She wrote with cold precision, laying out the facts chronologically. Crane's gambling operation. The coercion of players. Danny's murder. The cover-up. Every claim backed by documents, footage, financial records. Mia provided names, dates, additional context. Mrs. Coulter contributed her own observations from years of watching Jax struggle under Crane's thumb. When the document was complete, Lena created secure accounts on multiple platforms. News sites, social media, whistleblower forums. Ready? she asked, finger hovering over the enter key. Mia nodded. Do it. One keystroke. Information flowing into the digital universe, impossible to recall. The evidence of Victor Crane's crimes was now public property. How long before it gets noticed? Martin asked. Not long. I tagged major news outlets, sports journalists, law enforcement agencies. Lena began the shutdown process, wiping traces of their presence. And Jax's press conference is in 2 hours, Mia added. Perfect timing. As they prepared to leave, Neil stopped them. You should see this. He turned up the small TV behind the counter. Breaking news banner. Coulter hospitalized after police custody incident. The reporter looked grave. Hockey star Jax Coulter has been transported to Toronto General Hospital following what police describe as a medical episode during questioning. Sources say Coulter collapsed and was unresponsive. His condition is unknown at this time. The room went silent. Then Mrs. Coulter spoke, voice steady despite her pale face. They tried to silence him. Permanently. Lena felt ice in her veins. We need to get to that hospital. That's suicide, Martin objected. Place will be crawling with Crane's people. I don't care. Lena gathered her things. They're going to kill him if we don't intervene. She's right, Mia said. Mom and I will create a distraction at the main entrance. Lena can slip in through emergency. The plan formed quickly, dangerous, desperate, but necessary. As they headed for Martin's truck, Neil called after them. Your story, it's already getting picked up. Twitter's exploding. A small victory but hollow if Jax didn't survive to see it. In the truck, Lena checked her phone. Notifications flooded in. Journalists seeking comment. Anonymous users sharing the evidence, hashtags trending. The truth was out. Now they just needed to keep Jax alive long enough to see justice done. Faster, she urged Martin. Please. The hospital loomed ahead. Police vehicles parked haphazardly at the entrance. Time to see if their desperate gamble would pay off. Chapter 12. Toronto General Hospital buzzed with unusual activity. Police officers stationed at every entrance. News vans clogging the parking lot. Reporters shoving microphones at anyone in a uniform. Martin parked 2 blocks away, his weathered face grim. This is madness. We stick to the plan, Mia insisted, checking her phone. The story's everywhere now. Hashtag Crane corruption is trending. People are starting to ask questions. Too late if Jax is already dead, Lena said, the words like ash in her mouth. Mrs. Coulter reached across the seat, squeezing Lena's hand. My son is a fighter. Always has been. The simple faith steadied Lena. Let's go. They split up as planned, Mia and her mother heading for the main entrance while Lena circled toward the emergency department. Martin would wait with the truck running. Lena pulled her borrowed baseball cap lower, keeping her head down as she joined the flow of people entering the ER. Inside, organized chaos. Nurses rushing, patients waiting, security distracted by an arguing couple. Perfect cover. She spotted a supply closet, slipped inside and found what she needed, a set of scrubs. The disguise wasn't foolproof, but in a busy hospital, people saw uniforms, not faces. Clipboard in hand, Lena moved with purpose through the corridors. A nurse's station provided her target, a computer terminal momentarily unattended. Quick fingers, faster eyes. Searched for Coulter J. There. Room 412 North Wing. Status, restricted access. Of course. The elevator ride seemed eternal. 4th floor. Cardiac unit. More security, 2 officers stationed at the entrance to the wing. Lena approached a supply cart, pretending to inventory items while eavesdropping on a nearby conversation. Hockey players still unconscious, a nurse was saying. Whatever they gave him really did a number. Gave him, another voice questioned. Please. Medical episode, my ass. Guy was healthy as a horse yesterday. The nurse lowered her voice. Marks on his arm say injection. Not self-administered either. Lena's blood ran cold. They tried to kill him just as they'd killed Danny. A commotion erupted at the far end of the corridor. Raised voices, security rushing toward the noise. Mia's distraction right on schedule. Lena moved swiftly past the abandoned security post, scanning room numbers. 408, 410, 412. The door was closed, blinds drawn. She glanced both ways then slipped inside. The room was dim, machines casting ghostly blue light over the still figure in the bed. Jax lay motionless, oxygen mask covering his face, for lines snaking from his arm. His skin was gray, dark bruises blooming on his jaw and cheekbone. "Oh, Jax," she whispered, moving to his side. His chest rose and fell steadily, alive at least. He checked the monitors, the 4 bags. Nothing obviously suspicious, but she wasn't a medical professional. The door opened. Lena froze. A nurse entered, stopping short at the sight of her. "Who are you?" "This patient is restricted. Dr. Chin sent me." The lie came easily. "To check his vitals." The nurse's eyes narrowed. "ID badge." "Left it in the lab." Lena gestured vaguely toward the corridor. "Look, I just need a blood sample." "Something's off with his tox screen." A moment of tension, then the nurse's posture relaxed slightly. "Tell me about it. This whole case stinks." "You don't believe he had a medical episode?" The nurse snorted, moving to check Jax's 4. "Guy was beaten then injected with something. They're calling it cardiac arrhythmia, but between us, someone tried to kill him." Lena's journalistic instincts kicked in. "Any idea who?" "Above my pay grade." The nurse adjusted something on the monitor. "But 2 suits were in here earlier. Not police, not doctors. One made a call saying it's handled." Crane's men, ensuring Jax wouldn't talk. "When will he wake up?" "If he wakes up, you mean?" The nurse checked Jax's pupils. Whatever they gave him depressed his respiratory system. "We're monitoring for brain damage." "Brain damage?" Lena couldn't keep the horror from her voice. The nurse gave her a sharp look, reassessing. "You're not from the lab, are you?" Before Lena could respond, Jax's monitor beeped, heart rate increasing. His fingers twitched, head turning slightly. "He's waking up," the nurse said, surprised. "That's unexpected." Jax's eyes fluttered open, unfocused at first, then sharpening as they found Lena. Recognition, confusion, then urgent warning filled his gaze. He tugged weakly at the oxygen mask. Lena moved to help him, but the nurse stopped her. "Leave it. He needs." "Run," Jax rasped, voice barely audible through the mask. "Trap." The door burst open. 2 men in suits, the same type of anonymous enforcers who'd pursued them at the cabin. "Miss Hart," one said smoothly. "Mr. Crane would like a word." The nurse stepped between them. "This is a restricted area. You need to leave." One man simply moved her aside, grip brutal on her arm. "Hospital business. Not yours." Jax struggled to sit up, machines beeping in protest. His weakness was evident, but determination burned in his eyes. "The story's out," Lena said, backing away from the men. "Everything. The gambling, the murders, second chance. It's all public now." Uncertainty flickered across the lead man's face. "You're bluffing. Check your phone. Check the news." She kept moving, putting the bed between them. "Crane's finished." The second man pulled out his phone, scrolling rapidly. His expression darkened. "She's telling the truth. It's everywhere." "Doesn't matter," the first man said. "Orders are orders." He reached inside his jacket. Lena tensed, expecting a gun. The hospital room exploded into action. Jax ripped out his 4, lunging from the bed with desperate strength. He collided with the first man, sending both crashing into medical equipment. The nurse hit the emergency call button, shouting for security. The second man grabbed Lena, fingers digging painfully into her arm. She fought, kicking, scratching, but he was too strong. A blur of movement. Jax, somehow on his feet, swinging in 4-pole like a hockey stick. It connected with the man's head with a sickening crack. He dropped, taking Lena down with him. "Go," Jax gasped, swaying dangerously. "Can't hold them." He collapsed to one knee, face contorted with effort. The first man was already recovering, reaching again into his jacket. Security alarms blared. Footsteps pounded in the corridor. "Not without you," Lena said, scrambling to Jax's side. With strength born of desperation, she hauled him upright. His weight nearly buckled her knees, but adrenaline compensated. Together they staggered toward the door. The nurse moved to block the fallen men. "Go. I'll stall them." In the corridor, chaos reigned. The distraction at the other end had drawn most of the security. Lena guided Jax toward the service elevator, his arm heavy across her shoulders. "Can't," he mumbled, legs threatening to give out. "Leave me." "Shut up," she grunted, punching the elevator button repeatedly. "Not an option." The elevator arrived. Thank God. They stumbled inside, Lena jabbing at the basement button. As the doors closed, Jax sagged against the wall, hospital gown fluttering around his powerful frame. Blood seeped from his torn foresight, his breathing labored. "Why, come back," he managed, eyes struggling to focus on her face. "Isn't it obvious?" Lena supported him as the elevator descended. "I'm in love with you, you idiot." A ghost of his rare smile touched his pale lips. "Terrible timing, Hart." "Yeah, well." She brushed sweat-soaked hair from his forehead. "We might be dead in 5 minutes, so seemed relevant." His hand found hers, squeezing weakly. "Not dead yet." The elevator doors opened to the basement. Laundry facilities, storage, morgue. And, crucially, staff exits. They made it 10 feet before Jax's legs gave out entirely. He slid to the floor, back against the wall, strength utterly spent. "Go," he urged, pushing her hand away. "Find Mia. Finish this." "I told you." "Please." His eyes held hers, suddenly clear despite his failing body. "Need to know you're safe." Footsteps echoed down the stairwell. Pursuit closing in. Lena made a decision. She pulled the flash drive from her pocket, pressing it into his hand. "Keep the safe. I'm going to create a distraction." She cupped his face. "Stay alive. That's an order." Before he could protest, she kissed him fiercely, then ran in the opposite direction from the exit, making as much noise as possible. The basement door burst open behind her. Voices shouted, footsteps followed. The hunters took the bait, pursuing the obvious target, leaving Jax hidden in the shadows. As Lena ran, one thought sustained her. The truth was out. No matter what happened to her now, Crane couldn't bury it again. For Danny. For Jax. For everyone they'd hurt. She just hoped she'd live to see justice done. Chapter 13. Lena led Crane's men through the hospital basement, darting between laundry carts and storage shelves. Her lungs burned, muscles screaming protest, but desperation fueled her flight. Every second she kept them chasing her was another second Jax had to escape. A hand grabbed her jacket from behind. She spun, elbow connecting with a jaw. The man staggered but didn't release her. "Enough games," he snarled, twisting her arm painfully. "Crane wants to talk." The second man appeared, blocking her escape route. "Where's Coulter?" "Probably halfway to the Canadian border by now," Lena lied, fighting the iron grip on her arm. "Search the basement," the first man ordered. "I'll take her up." "No need to search," a new voice called from the shadows. "I'm right here." Victor Crane stepped into view, immaculate despite the dingy surroundings. 4 more men flanked him, weapons visible beneath their jackets. "Ms. Hart." Crane's smile was reptilian. "Still causing problems, I see. Your empire's falling, Crane." Lena stopped struggling, saving her strength. "The evidence is public. Everyone knows what you did to my brother. What you've been doing for years. A minor inconvenience." Crane adjusted his gold cufflinks with maddening calm. "Some digital files easily discredited. Your word against mine." His smile widened. "And you won't be giving any interviews. People will ask questions. The FBI are already handling the terrorist hack of several media platforms. Tragic how extremists can spread such damaging misinformation." Ice settled in Lena's stomach. Of course he had contingencies. Men like Crane always did. "Now," he continued pleasantly, "where is Mr. Coulter? My men report he's no longer in his room." "I don't know." Crane sighed as if disappointed by her predictable response. "Search the entire basement," he instructed his men. "He can't have gone far in his condition." 2 men peeled away, moving systematically through the storage areas. "The doctors are quite concerned about Mr. Coulter," Crane said conversationally. "Severe cardiac distress. Likely terminal, I'm afraid." "You poisoned him," Lena spat. "I visited a sick colleague. Whatever treatment he received was administered by licensed medical professionals." Crane's eyes hardened. "Mr. Coulter's history of performance-enhancing substances is well documented. Such tragic consequences. One of the searching men called out, "Blood trail here, sir." Heading toward the east exit. Lena's heart sank. Jax had tried to move, leaving evidence of his passage. "Bring him to me," Crane ordered. "Alive if convenient." The immediate danger to Jax jolted Lena into action. She stomped on her captor's instep, twisted from his grip and lunged for the nearest fire alarm. The shriek of sirens filled the basement. Sprinklers activated, drenching everything. In the confusion, Lena broke free, running toward where Jax had been headed. Shouts followed her. A hand snagged her hair, yanking her backward. Pain exploded across her scalp. "Enough." Crane's voice cut through the chaos, suddenly beside her. "Take her to the car. We're leaving." Strong arms dragged her toward a service elevator. Through the sprinkler rain, she saw medical staff and security flooding the basement, responding to the alarm. "Fire in the basement," she shouted. "These men are armed." The elevator doors closed before anyone could process her words. Inside, Crane's face was a mask of controlled fury. "That was unwise, Ms. Hart. Go to hell." His hand struck her face with surprising force. "Your usefulness is at an end." The elevator opened to a loading dock. A black SUV waited, engine running. As they dragged her toward it, more vehicles screeched into the area. Police cars, lights flashing. "Toronto Police. Freeze." For once, Lena was grateful to see Detective Powell stepping from the lead car, weapon drawn. Crane's men hesitated, looking to their boss for direction. "Detective," Crane called, instantly transforming into the concerned citizen. "Thank goodness. This woman assaulted me inside. She's working with Coulter." Powell's eyes flickered between them, weapon unwavering. "Put your hands up, Mr. Crane." "Excuse me." Crane's surprise seemed genuine. "Hands where I can see them. All of you." Powell gestured to his officers who moved forward, weapons raised. "Victor Crane, you're under arrest for the murder of Daniel Hart, conspiracy to commit fraud and attempted murder of Jackson Coulter." Lena couldn't believe what she was hearing. "Powell, you're actually doing your job." The detective didn't look at her. "The FBI is very interested in the evidence that went public this morning. Particularly the video of Daniel Hart's murder." Crane's composure cracked slightly. "This is absurd. I'm a respected business owner. Save it for your lawyer." Powell nodded to his officers who moved in with handcuffs. Crane's men, sensing the shift in power, stepped away from their boss. Self-preservation trumping loyalty. "You're making a terrible mistake," Crane said, steel entering his voice. "One phone call and your career is over." "Maybe," Powell acknowledged. "But some things matter more than careers." He glanced at Lena. "Like justice." As officers secured Crane, Powell approached Lena. "Ms. Hart, you've been difficult to find." "You were on his payroll," she accused. "I was cautious." Powell holstered his weapon. "And gathering my own evidence. Your data dump this morning filled in the missing pieces. Jax Coulter. Already located. Paramedics are with him." Powell's expression softened slightly. "He's asking for you." Relief flooded through her. "Is he alive?" "Barely." Powell gestured toward the hospital entrance. "Go. We'll need statements later, but right now." She was already running. Inside, controlled chaos. Fire alarms silenced, but sprinklers had done their damage. Medical staff hurried to relocate sensitive equipment and vulnerable patients. Lena found Jax in a treatment room near emergency, paramedics working over him. His skin was waxen, lips tinged blue, but his eyes were open, scanning anxiously until they found her. "Hart," he whispered as she approached. "Thought they got you." "Not today." She took his hand, careful of the new foreline. "Crane's being arrested. For real this time. Police. FBI involved now." She squeezed his fingers. "It's over, Jax. They can't bury the evidence anymore." A ghost of a smile touched his lips. "Mia? Mom. Safe. On their way." The paramedic administering oxygen interrupted. "He needs to rest. Whatever they gave him severely depressed his cardiac function." "Try to make it look natural," Jax said weakly. "Like Danny." "But they failed." Lena's throat tightened. "Because you're too stubborn to die." His laugh was more a wheeze. True. A commotion at the door drew their attention. Mia burst in, her mother close behind. Jackson. Mrs. Coulter rushed to her son's side, tears streaming openly now. Hi boy. The reunion was brief but intense, Jax visibly rallying to reassure his family despite his condition. Time to transport, the lead paramedic announced. ICU at Memorial. More secure than here. As they prepared to move him, Jax caught Lena's hand again. Stay with me. The simple request, vulnerability from a man who'd spent years showing none, undid her. Try keeping me away, she managed. They wheeled him toward the ambulance bay, family in tow, when a shout from the emergency entrance stopped them. One of Crane's men, the one Lena had elbowed, stood in the doorway, blood streaming from a head wound. In his hand, a gun aimed directly at Jax. Crane sends his regards, he snarled. Time slowed. The paramedics dove for cover. Mrs. Coulter screamed. Mia lunged forward. Lena moved purely on instinct, throwing herself between Jax and the gunman. 2 shots cracked through the emergency room. Pain bloomed across Lena's abdomen, hot and shocking. She staggered, knees buckling. More shots, from security this time. The gunman fell. Lena felt herself lowered gently to the floor, Jax somehow supporting her despite his own weakness. No, he was saying, voice breaking. Lena, stay with me. She tried to respond, but her mouth filled with coppery warmth. Breathing suddenly required immense concentration. Medical staff swarmed around her. Urgent voices called for blood, for surgical teams. Through it all, Jax's face remained in focus, his eyes boring into hers with desperate intensity. Don't you dare, he commanded, pressing his hand against her wound. Don't you dare leave me now. Darkness crowded the edges of her vision. She fought to stay conscious, to reassure him somehow. Not going anywhere, she managed, each word a battle. Love, story, just getting interesting. His face blurred as they lifted her onto a gurney. The last thing she heard was his voice, raw with emotion. I love you too, Hart. So you better damn well live. Then darkness claimed her completely. Chapter 14. Beeping machines. The antiseptic smell of hospital rooms. Pain, dull and distant, held at bay by medication. Lena surfaced slowly from unconsciousness, each sense returning one by one. Her throat felt raw, her body leaden. She's waking up, a woman's voice said. Mia. Lena forced her eyes open. The room swam into blurry focus. Private hospital suite, flowers on every surface, daylight streaming through partially closed blinds. Mia leaned over her, relief softening her features. There you are. About time. How long? Lena's voice emerged as a rasp. 3 days. Mia offered a straw, cool water soothing Lena's parched throat. You lost a lot of blood. Bullet missed your vital organs, but just barely. Memory returned in fragments. The hospital. Crane's arrest. The gunman. Jax, she asked, fear spiking her heart rate on the monitor. He's okay. Mia smiled. Better than you, actually. They managed to flush whatever drug Crane's people gave him from his system before permanent damage set in. Where is he? Press conference. First public appearance since everything went down. Mia's expression turned serious. A lot's happened while you were out. Lena tried to sit up, wincing as pain flared across her abdomen. Tell me. Crane's in federal custody. No bail. The evidence you released blew the case wide open. FBI's involved, Interpol too. Mia helped adjust Lena's bed to a more upright position. 5 other team owners implicated so far. Leaks in chaos. The ledger. Found in Crane's safety deposit box, just like that guy said. Matches everything in the digital files, plus more names, more games. Relief washed through Lena. Finally, proof solid enough that no one could ignore it. Danny, she said softly. Mia squeezed her hand. They're reopening his case. Official cause of death being changed to homicide. The team doctor confessed, trying to cut a deal. Tears pricked at Lena's eyes. 2 years of fighting for this moment, of being dismissed and ridiculed. Your apartment was firebombed, Mia continued. Night after the hospital. They're calling it retaliation from Crane's organization. Anyone hurt? No. Building was evacuated in time. Mia handed Lena her phone. But you might want to see what's happening right now. The screen showed a live news broadcast. Jax at a podium, cameras flashing, microphones clustered before him. He looked pale but steadier than the last time she'd seen him, dressed in a simple dark suit rather than team colors. "Take full responsibility for my silence," he was saying, voice grave. "I allowed myself to be controlled through threats and blackmail, and in doing so became complicit in Victor Crane's criminal enterprise. For that I am deeply sorry." The camera panned to show several of his teammates standing behind him in a show of support. Reese among them, others Lena recognized from news coverage. Multiple players were coerced into participating in game fixing, Jax continued. Many through threats to family members, others through exploitation of personal struggles. "I do not offer this as an excuse, merely as context." A reporter called out, "Will you be cooperating with the investigation?" "Fully. I've already provided sworn statements to federal authorities detailing every fixed game, every player involved, every threat made." Jax's expression hardened. "Including the murder of Daniel Hart, who tried to expose this corruption 2 years ago." Another voice, "What about your career? Will you return to hockey?" "That's not my decision. The league has suspended me pending their investigation, which is appropriate." No self-pity in his tone, just acceptance. "Some things matter more than hockey." "Like Lena Hart?" someone shouted. "Reports say you two have become romantically involved." The camera caught Jax's expression, softening momentarily before his professional mask returned. "Ms. Hart nearly died protecting me. She risked everything to expose the truth when no one else would listen." His voice roughened slightly. "My feelings for her are not relevant to this investigation." "But you have feelings?" the reporter pressed. Jax's eyes seemed to look directly through the camera. "She's the bravest person I've ever met." Mia took the phone back, smiling. "He's been here every night. Only left for this press conference and FBI interviews." "Every night. Wouldn't leave your side. Nurses had to bring in a cot." Mia nodded toward a chair where a man's jacket hung. "Should be back soon." As if summoned by her words, the door opened. Jax entered, tie loosened, expression weary from the press gauntlet. He stopped short at the sight of Lena awake, emotion flashing naked across his face before he controlled it. "You're up," he said, voice carefully neutral. Mia stood, making a transparent excuse about finding coffee. She squeezed her brother's arm as she passed, closing the door behind her. Alone, they simply looked at each other. Jax seemed uncertain, hovering near the door as if afraid to approach. "Saw your press conference," Lena said, breaking the silence. "Very professional. PR team prepped me for hours." He took a tentative step closer. "How are you feeling?" "Like I've been shot." Her attempted humor fell flat. "The doctors say I'll live." "Good." The word held volumes of relief. "That's good." Another awkward silence. This careful distance between them felt wrong after everything they'd shared. "You called me brave," she said. "On camera." "You are." He moved closer, settling carefully in the chair beside her bed. "Stupidly brave, jumping in front of a bullet," says the man who fought off Crane's thugs while suffering cardiac arrest. A ghost of a smile touched his lips. "We make quite a pair." "Do we?" Lena held his gaze. "Make a pair." Jax looked down at his hands, uncharacteristically uncertain. "I meant what I said. When you were bleeding out." "Refresh my memory." She needed to hear it again to know it wasn't a near-death hallucination. "I love you." He looked up, ice-blue eyes holding nothing back. "Probably have since you stormed into that first interview, refusing to be intimidated by me. Even though I suspected you of killing my brother?" "Even then." His hand found hers, large and warm. "You were right to suspect me. I was complicit through my silence." "Not anymore." She interlaced their fingers. "Now you're the star witness bringing down a criminal empire. Because of you." His thumb traced circles on her palm. "You never gave up. On the truth. On your brother." "Pause. On me. I'm stubborn that way." "Good." His smile was genuine now. "You'll need to be." "Why is that?" "Recovery's going to be rough. For both of us." His expression grew serious. "Crane's organization is bigger than we realized. International. Dangerous even with him in custody. Threats. Federal marshals are outside your door. Jax nodded toward the window. We'll both need protection for a while. So we're stuck with each other. The thought warmed her despite the circumstances. If you want. His voice held a question. In answer, Lena tugged his hand, pulling him closer. I believe I said something too. In the emergency room. You did. His face was inches from hers now. But you were bleeding heavily. Might have been delirium. Wasn't. She released his hand to touch his face, tracing the strong line of his jaw. I love you, Jax Coulter. God help me. The remaining distance between them vanished as he kissed her, gentle but thorough. Unlike their desperate earlier kisses, this one held promise, future certainty. When they broke apart, his forehead rested against hers. We've known each other, 2 weeks? 3. Feels like years. She smiled against his lips. Nothing like mortal danger to accelerate a relationship. A knock interrupted them. The door opened to reveal a serious-looking woman in a dark suit. Mr. Coulter, Ms. Hart. She flashed a federal badge. Agent Rebecca Chin. I've been assigned to your security detail. Lena's eyes widened in recognition. Becky. The agent's professional demeanor cracked, a genuine smile emerging. Haley. You look terrible. You two know each other? Jax asked. College roommates, Lena explained. The friend I was trying to reach at the DA's office. Who got promoted to the FBI's Sports Corruption Task Force 6 months ago. Rebecca approached the bed. Your evidence dump landed like a bomb in our investigation. Years of work and you broke it wide open in one day. So I did make it to that meeting at the boathouse, Lena said dryly. In a manner of speaking. Rebecca's expression sobered. We need to talk about what happens next. Crane's preliminary hearing is tomorrow. Both of you will need to testify eventually. She just woke up, Jax protested. I'm not here to push. Rebecca raised a placating hand. Just to explain the situation. Crane's lawyers are already spinning, claiming the evidence was fabricated, that you two conspired to frame him. The video of Danny's murder is pretty damn conclusive, Lena said. Yes, but they're attacking its provenance. How it was obtained, chain of custody issues. Rebecca sighed. This will get ugly before it's over. Uglier than being shot? Lena asked wryly. Potentially. Rebecca didn't sugarcoat. Crane has allies, money, influence. He's fighting for his life. So were we, Jax said quietly. And now you've become symbols. Rebecca gestured toward the television, where footage from Jax's press conference still played. The hockey star and the crusading journalist who brought down corruption in professional sports. People are invested. Lena felt suddenly exhausted, the brief surge of energy fading. So what do we do? Rest. Heal. Let us handle the investigation. Rebecca moved toward the door. I'll be back tomorrow to discuss protective custody arrangements. After she left, silence settled over the room again. Jax looked troubled, the weight of what lay ahead evident in his expression. We knew it wouldn't be easy, Lena said softly. I'm used to fighting on the ice. His eyes met hers. This is different. Courts, testimony, media scrutiny. At least we're not doing it alone anymore. She squeezed his hand. No, he agreed, bringing her fingers to his lips. Not alone. Outside, the late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the room. Beyond the hospital walls, a storm was building. Legal battles, public opinion wars, the dismantling of a criminal enterprise. But in this moment they had found a fragile peace. Rest, Jax urged, seeing her eyelids grow heavy. I'll be here. As Lena drifted toward sleep, one thought persisted. They had survived the impossible. Whatever came next, they would face it together. The game wasn't over. But for the first time they weren't playing defense. Chapter 15. This is ridiculous, Lena muttered, adjusting the bulletproof vest beneath her blazer. I can barely move in this thing. Better stiff than dead, Rebecca replied, checking the secure sedan that would transport them to the courthouse. Crane's preliminary hearing has brought every reporter and hockey fan in the city out of the woodwork. 2 weeks had passed since Lena regained consciousness. Her recovery progressed steadily, wound healing, strength returning gradually. Today marked her first venture outside the hospital's protective walls. Jax stood nearby, his own security detail keeping a watchful perimeter. Like Lena, he wore body armor beneath his suit, the bulk mostly concealed by the tailored jacket. "Are you sure you're up for this?" he asked, concern evident in his eyes. "I've been cooped up for 14 days, Lena said, determination overriding discomfort. "I'm not missing Crane's first appearance." Rebecca finished her inspection and returned to them. "Vehicle's clear. We move in 3 minutes. Stay between the marshals at all times." She eyed Lena critically. "First sign of pain or weakness you tell me. No heroics." "Yes, Mom," Lena replied dryly. The journey from hospital to courthouse felt surreal. Streets she'd traveled hundreds of times now viewed through bulletproof glass, familiar landmarks passing by as armed agents scanned rooftops and sidewalks. Outside the courthouse, a media circus awaited. Cameras, microphones, reporters shouting questions as they emerged from the vehicle. "Ms. Hart, how does it feel to face your brother's killer?" "Mr. Coulter, will you return to hockey after testifying? Are you two officially a couple?" The security detail formed a human barrier, guiding them up the courthouse steps. Lena kept her head high, refusing to show weakness despite the pull of stitches across her abdomen. Inside, the relative quiet felt like a blessing. Rebecca led them to a private waiting room, away from prying eyes. "Hearing starts in 30 minutes, she explained. "Judge Harmon is presiding, no nonsense, by the book. Good news for us." "Will we have to testify today?" Lena asked, easing herself carefully onto a chair. "Not today. This is just arraignment and bail arguments." Rebecca checked her phone. "Though you might be called to establish victim impact for the bail decision." Jax paced the small room, tension radiating from his powerful frame. "Crane's lawyers will push for release." "They can push all they want," Rebecca replied. "The evidence is overwhelming. Multiple murders, organized crime, international gambling fraud. Flight risk doesn't begin to cover it." A knock at the door announced Mia's arrival, accompanied by her own security detail. She hugged her brother, then Lena more gently. "Mom wanted to come," she explained, "but the doctors advised against it. Her heart's been unsteady since all this began." "She should rest," Jax agreed. "This is just the beginning." Another knock, a court officer this time. "They're ready. Judge wants the victims present for arraignment." The courtroom hushed as they entered. 50 spectators in the gallery, media restricted to the back row, security positioned at every exit. Lena felt eyes tracking their movement as they took seats in the front row, directly behind the prosecution table. The district attorney, a formidable woman named Sloane, nodded respectfully to them before returning to her notes. "All rise," the bailiff announced. "The Honorable Judge William Harmon presiding." The judge entered, stern-faced beneath silver hair, taking his position with practiced efficiency. "Be seated," he instructed, then fixed his gaze on the empty defense table. "Bring in the defendant." A side door opened. Victor Crane entered, flanked by guards, followed by 3 expensive-looking attorneys. Gone was the immaculate businessman in tailored suits. Prison orange drained the color from his face, making him appear smaller, older. But his eyes, they were unchanged. Cold, calculating, and when they swept across Lena and Jax, filled with undisguised hatred. The proceedings began with formal reading of charges. The list seemed endless. Murder in the first degree in the death of Daniel Hart. Attempted murder of Jackson Coulter. Attempted murder of Lena Hart. Conspiracy to commit fraud. Racketeering. Money laundering. Witness intimidation. On and on, each charge a piece of the criminal empire they had exposed. Crane's lead attorney, a sharp-featured man named Lawson, argued vigorously for bail. "Your Honor, Mr. Crane is a respected business owner with deep ties to the community. He poses no flight risk and deserves the presumption of innocence until proven guilty." The prosecutor countered with evidence of Crane's extensive international connections, offshore accounts, and the serious nature of the charges. Additionally, Day Sloan added, "Mr. Crane has already demonstrated a willingness to eliminate witnesses. Both Ms. Hart and Mr. Coulter have survived attempts on their lives ordered directly by the defendant." Judge Harmon's expression remained impassive throughout. When arguments concluded, he peered over his glasses. "Before ruling on bail, I'll hear from the victims." He nodded toward Lena. "Ms. Hart, would you like to address the court?" Lena rose carefully, one hand pressed against her wound, the other braced on the rail before her. "Your Honor," she began, voice steady despite her racing heart. "2 weeks ago, I was shot while trying to protect Mr. Coulter from one of Victor Crane's men. That was the second attempt on my life." She drew a breath, finding strength as she continued. "But my injuries pale compared to what happened to my brother. Danny was murdered, injected with a lethal overdose, because he discovered Mr. Crane's operation. His death was made to look like suicide, and for 2 years I was told I was paranoid for questioning it." Her eyes locked with Crane's, refusing to flinch from his cold stare. "If Victor Crane is released, no witness in this case will be safe. He has money, connections, and nothing left to lose. My brother deserves justice, and that can only happen if his killer remains in custody." As she sat, Jax's hand found hers, squeezing gently. "Mr. Coulter?" the judge prompted. Jax stood, his athlete's presence commanding attention even in this formal setting. "Your Honor, for 2 years I was controlled by threats against my family. Mr. Crane's organization infiltrated my sister's rehabilitation facility, threatening her care if I didn't comply with their demands." His voice remained measured, but emotion simmered beneath. "When I finally refused to continue throwing games, they attempted to kill me with an injected overdose, the same method used on Lena Hart." He gestured toward the gallery where Reese and several teammates sat. "Multiple players have come forward with similar stories of coercion and threats. None of us will be safe if Mr. Crane walks free today." Judge Harmon nodded thoughtfully. "Thank you both." After brief deliberation, his decision came swiftly. "Bail denied. The defendant will remain in custody pending trial." He banged his gavel. "Next hearing in 2 weeks." Relief coursed through Lena's body. The first hurdle cleared. As Crane was led away, he paused, turning toward them. "This isn't over," he said, voice carrying in the suddenly quiet courtroom. "Not by a long shot." Guards pulled him toward the exit, but his eyes remained fixed on Lena until the door closed behind him. "Charming as ever," Jax muttered. Outside the courtroom, Rebecca directed them toward a side exit to avoid the media crush. But halfway down the corridor, a commotion erupted ahead. Raised voices, a scuffle. "Stay back," Rebecca ordered, drawing her weapon. The security team shifted formation, surrounding Lena and Jax. Through a gap between shoulders, Lena caught a glimpse of the disturbance. Warren Mills, supposedly dead from Jax's gunshot at the cabin, was being led in handcuffs by federal agents. "How is he alive?" she whispered. "Witness protection," Rebecca explained tersely. "He survived and flipped on Crane for immunity. We've been keeping it quiet." Mills spotted them through the crowd. Their eyes met briefly before agents hustled him away. "Does Crane know he's alive?" Jax asked. "He does now," Rebecca's expression was grim. "Which complicates things." Back in the secure vehicle, tension filled the enclosed space. The world outside seemed suddenly more threatening, the victory in court overshadowed by this new development. "What does this mean for the case?" Lena asked once they were moving. "Mills has been cooperating, providing details on Crane's entire operation." Rebecca kept scanning the streets as they drove. "His testimony could be crucial but also puts him at risk. Can he be trusted?" Jax's skepticism was evident. "He was Crane's right hand. Self-preservation is a powerful motivator," Rebecca replied. "He's frightened enough to be useful." Lena leaned back, exhaustion suddenly overwhelming. The brief courtroom appearance had drained her limited reserves. Jax noticed immediately. "You need to rest." She didn't argue, which concerned him more than any protestation might have. "Change of plans," he told Rebecca. "Take us back to the hospital." "No," Lena roused herself. "I'm tired of hospitals. Take me home." "Your apartment was firebombed, remember?" Jax reminded her gently. "I have a safe house prepared," Rebecca interjected. "Secure location outside the city. Medical staff on call, full protection detail." Lena managed a weak smile. "Sounds like a fun vacation." "For both of you," Rebecca clarified, glancing at Jax. "Joint protective custody until the immediate threat level decreases." Jax's eyes met Lena's. "Together." "Together," she confirmed. The prospect brightened her exhaustion somewhat. The safe house proved to be a modernized farmhouse on 20 private acres. Rolling meadows surrounded by dense forest, the nearest neighbor half a mile away. A perfect defensive position, as Rebecca explained during the brief tour. Panic room in the basement. Surveillance covering all approaches. Response team stationed in the guest house. She pointed out security features with professional pride. This place is a fortress. It's beautiful, Lena said, surprised by the comfortable interior. Spacious living areas, warm colors, nothing suggesting the building's fortress-like function. Get settled, Rebecca advised. Doctor will be by this evening to check your wound. I'll be back tomorrow to prep you for next week's grand jury testimony. After the security team completed their sweep, Lena and Jax found themselves truly alone for the first time since the hospital. So, he said, standing somewhat awkwardly in the living room. Roommates. Looks that way. The absurdity of their situation, forced together by circumstances yet again, struck her suddenly. Laughter bubbled up, immediately followed by a wince as her stitches protested. Careful, Jax moved to her side, guiding her to the sofa. You need to rest. I need to feel normal again, she countered, but allowed him to help her sit. This is all so surreal. 2 weeks ago I was dying on an emergency room floor. Now I'm in witness protection with a professional hockey player. Former professional hockey player, he corrected, sitting beside her. My career isn't exactly salvageable at this point. You don't know that. The league's investigation will find I participated in game fixing. Doesn't matter that I was coerced. His acceptance held no self-pity. Some lines can't be uncrossed. She studied his profile, the strong features that had seemed so intimidating during their first meeting. Now she saw beyond the enforcer facade to the man beneath. Complicated, honorable despite his compromises, determined to make amends. What will you do? She asked. After the trial. Haven't thought that far ahead. He met her gaze. One day at a time has been my limit lately. She understood completely. The future stretched before them, undefined and uncertain. Only their present had any clarity. This house, this protection, this bubble of safety amid ongoing danger. Rest, he urged, rising from the sofa. I'll check the perimeter with the security team. Always the protector, even surrounded by professional guards. Lena smiled as he left, then carefully reclined on the sofa, allowing her body's demands to finally override her stubborn determination. She dozed, waking to the smell of cooking food and the sound of quiet conversation from the kitchen. Following her nose, she found Jax and one of the security agents, Rodriguez, according to his badge, standing at the stove. Didn't know hockey players could cook, she remarked, leaning against the doorframe. Both men turned, Rodriguez smiling warmly. Mr. Coulter insisted on making dinner. Said hospital food had tortured you enough. Just pasta, Jax said somewhat self-consciously. Nothing fancy. It smells amazing. Lena approached, peering into the pot of simmering sauce. Where did you learn to cook? By mother. His expression softened at the mention. She believed every man should know his way around a kitchen. Smart woman. Rodriguez tactfully excused himself, leaving them alone in the domestic scene that felt strangely natural despite their extraordinary circumstances. How are you feeling? Jax asked, stirring the sauce. Honestly. Tired. Sore. She leaned against the counter. But better than yesterday. Each day a little stronger. Good. His relief was genuine. You scared the hell out of me, Hart. Sorry about that. Next time I'll let you get shot instead. His laugh was unexpected, deep and genuine. There won't be a next time if I have anything to say about it. The simple meal they shared that evening, pasta, salad, wine for him, juice for her due to medications, felt like the first normal moment since their lives had collided. No imminent danger, no rush of adrenaline, just quiet conversation and the gradual lowering of guards. After dinner, they settled in the living room, the large windows offering views of the sunset painting the meadow in gold and crimson. Security lights activated automatically as darkness fell, illuminating the perimeter. Rebecca says we might be here for weeks, Lena said, curled carefully in an armchair. Possibly months depending on the trial schedule. Worse places to be stuck, Jax observed, his large frame dwarfing the sofa. True. She watched him, this man who had become central to her life through the strangest of circumstances. We barely know each other, you realize. I know enough. His eyes met hers. Know what matters. Like what? She challenged gently. Know you're stubborn. Brave to the point of recklessness. Loyal. His voice deepened. Know you care about justice more than safety. About truth more than comfort. That's the journalist in me. That's the Lena in you. His certainty was unshakable. The rest we'll figure out. If that's what you want. The question hung between them, unspoken but clear. Was this connection real or merely forged in the crucible of shared danger? Before she could answer, the security system chimed, announcing an incoming call. Rodriguez appeared in the doorway. Agent Chin on the secure line. Says it's urgent. Lena's stomach tightened. They shared a look of apprehension before Jax rose to follow Rodriguez to the communications room. She waited, tension building with each passing minute. When Jax returned, his expression confirmed her fears. What's happened? She asked. Warren Mills is dead. His voice was flat. Found in his safe house an hour ago. Throat cut. Cold dread washed through her. How? He was supposed to be protected. Inside job. One of his guards was on Crane's payroll. Jax sat heavily beside her. They're moving us again. Tonight. Different location, different security team. Crane, Lena whispered. Even from prison. His organization runs deep. Jax's hands clenched into fists. And now they've silenced a key witness. The fragile peace of their evening shattered, reality intruding with brutal force. They were still in danger, still targets, still caught in Crane's web despite his incarceration. Pack only essentials, Jax said, rising. Transport arrives in 30 minutes. As he moved toward his room, Lena called after him. Jax. He turned, face half in shadow. To answer your question, yes. She met his gaze steadily. Whatever this is between us, I want to figure it out. No matter where they hide us. Something in his expression shifted, tension giving way to fierce determination. Together then, he said simply. In that moment, with danger closing in again, the word felt like both promise and defiance. Together against Crane, against his organization, against whatever forces sought to silence them. The game had moved into overtime, sudden death rules now in effect. One wrong move could end everything. But they would face it as they'd faced everything since that first interview. Challenging, fighting, refusing to back down. Together. Chapter 16. Dawn broke over unfamiliar mountains, painting the sky in watercolor hues of pink and gold. Lena stood at the cabin window, a steaming mug clutched in her hands, watching the sunrise illuminate their new sanctuary. After Mills' murder, they'd been transported through the night. Helicopter to private airstrip, small plane to undisclosed location, SUV with blacked-out windows for the final leg. Now they were somewhere in the Rockies, elevation high enough that the thin air made her healing lungs work harder. You should be resting, Jax said, appearing in the doorway behind her. Couldn't sleep. She didn't turn. Too much adrenaline still. He moved beside her, his warmth a tangible presence in the chilly morning air. 3 weeks since the shooting, and her body's instinctive awareness of him hadn't diminished. Place is more defensible than the farmhouse, he observed, surveying the rugged landscape. Only one access road, clear sightlines in all directions. Feels like we're on the run, not under protection. She sipped her tea, grimacing at the bitterness. Hiding while Crane pulls strings from his cell. Rebecca says his communication privileges have been restricted. Clearly not restricted enough. The news of Mills' death had shaken her more than she wanted to admit. If he can reach someone in federal protective custody. The implication hung in the air, unspoken but understood. None of them were truly safe. Grand jury testimony starts in 3 days, Jax said, changing the subject. Agent Diaz will prep us by video conference. Lena nodded. The federal prosecutor would present their evidence to a grand jury, seeking indictments that would strengthen the case against Crane and his organization. Her testimony and Jax's would be crucial. I need to make a call first, she said. See how the story's playing in the media. Mills' death changes the narrative. Rebecca left a secure laptop in the study. Routed through multiple proxies. The cabin was smaller than the farmhouse but equally well appointed. 3 bedrooms, modern kitchen, living area centered around a stone fireplace. Security features subtly integrated. Reinforced doors, bulletproof windows, panic buttons in every room. Their new protection detail consisted of 4 agents rotating shifts. All vetted personally by Rebecca, none with any connection to the previous team. In the small study, Lena booted the laptop, connecting to secure networks that would allow her to access news without revealing their location. The headlines confirmed her fears. Mill's murder dominated coverage, framed as a blow to the prosecution. Legal analysts questioned the government's ability to protect witnesses. Sports reporters speculated about the case's impact on the upcoming hockey season. Most concerning was the shift in public opinion. Social media showed growing sympathy for Crane, portraying him as a successful businessman being railroaded by disgruntled employees and obsessed journalists. His PR team was working overtime, planting stories questioning the legitimacy of the evidence, highlighting Jax's admitted participation in game fixing, and resurrecting old articles about Lena's conspiracy theories following her brother's death. A new article caught her eye. Hart's vendetta. Journalism or personal revenge? The byline made her stomach drop. Mike Reynolds, her former editor. The man who'd killed her Crane investigation was now actively undermining her credibility. Bastard, she muttered, scanning the hit piece. What's wrong? Jax asked from the doorway. Crane's winning the media battle. She turned the screen toward him. My own editor is leading the charge. Jax scanned the article, jaw tightening as he read. Claiming you fabricated evidence to avenge your brother. That I helped because I was facing gambling debts of my own. Convenient narrative. Lena closed the laptop, suddenly exhausted. Easier to believe than the truth. Truth has evidence. Fabrications don't. Evidence a grand jury hasn't seen yet. She rubbed her temples, frustration building. Meanwhile, Crane's people are reshaping public opinion, making us look like the criminals. Jax leaned against the desk, arms crossed. Does it matter what people think if the jury convicts? It matters if potential jurors are being poisoned against us before the trial even starts. Her journalist's instincts were screaming warnings. It matters if Crane's organization is systematically undermining our credibility. Before Jax could respond, Agent Diaz appeared at the study door. Ms. Hart, Mr. Coulter. We have a situation. They followed her to the communications room, where screens displayed news broadcasts and security feeds. Another agent was speaking urgently into a headset. What's happening? Jax demanded. Diaz pointed to one of the screens where a news anchor was mid-report. Exclusive interview with Victor Crane, who claims new evidence will exonerate him completely. The scene cut to Crane, prison jumpsuit exchanged for a suit and tie, looking composed and confident despite his surroundings. These allegations are completely false, he stated, calm and reasonable. Ms. Hart has pursued a vendetta against me since her brother's tragic suicide. Mr. Coulter, facing gambling debts and the end of his career, chose to support her false narrative rather than take responsibility for his own actions. How is he giving interviews? Lena asked incredulously. I thought his communications were restricted. His lawyer arranged it, Diaz explained. Claiming First Amendment rights. Judge approved limited media access this morning. On screen, Crane continued his performance. The so-called evidence against me is fabricated. The video allegedly showing Daniel Hart's murder was doctored. Financial records were falsified. The interviewer, a sympathetic blonde, nodded gravely. Strong accusations. Do you have proof? My legal team has filed a motion presenting forensic analysis of the video and financial documents. Crane's expression shifted to one of injured dignity. I believe in our justice system. The truth will prevail. Jax cursed softly. He's getting ahead of the grand jury testimony. Poisoning the well, Lena agreed. Classic manipulation tactic. Diaz muted the broadcast. There's more. Your names and photos have been circulated to certain organizations with connections to Crane. Bounty offered for information on your location. The clinical way she delivered this news couldn't mask its seriousness. The price on their heads had just become official. Are we compromised here? Jax asked, instinctively moving closer to Lena. Not yet, but headquarters wants to move you again as a precaution. Diaz checked her watch. Transport arrives in 4 hours. Pack only essentials. When she left to make arrangements, Lena sank into a chair, the weight of their situation suddenly overwhelming. "This is never going to end, is it?" she said quietly. "We'll just keep running, hiding while Crane rewrites history." Jax knelt before her, taking her hands in his. "We knew this wouldn't be easy. We're losing, Jax." The admission tasted bitter. Public opinion shifting, witnesses being killed, our credibility under attack. Crane's winning even from prison. "Only if we let him." His voice hardened with determination. "We have the truth. The evidence. Your brother deserves justice and we're going to get it for him." The simple conviction in his words steadied her. This man who had lost everything, career, reputation, security, still refused to surrender. "I need to make a call," she decided suddenly. "Before we're moved again." "To who?" "Someone who can help us fight back." A plan was forming, risky but necessary. "We can't just keep running and hiding. We need to control the narrative." With Diaz's reluctant permission, Lena used the secure line to contact an old journalism school friend now producing for a major news network. The conversation was brief, arrangements made quickly. When she finished, Jax was waiting, curiosity evident in his expression. "What did you do?" "Arranged a counterstrike." Determination replaced her earlier fatigue. "Live interview, both of us, tomorrow morning. National broadcast." His eyes widened. "That would reveal we're alive, possibly help narrow down our location." "They already know we're alive." Mills was the target because he was talking. Lena stood straighter, ignoring the twinge from her healing wound. "We need to tell our story, Jax. All of it. Beat Crane at his own game." "The feds won't like it." "Probably not." She smiled grimly. "Which is why we're doing it before they move us again." Understanding dawned in his eyes. "You're not planning to go to the new safe house." "No. I'm planning to stop running." She met his gaze steadily. "But I won't ask you to take that risk with me. You have your family to consider." For a moment he simply looked at her, something shifting in his expression. Then unexpectedly he laughed, a short, surprised sound of genuine amusement. "Hart, do you really think I'd let you face this alone?" He shook his head, smiling despite the gravity of their situation. "After everything we've been through? It's not your fight. It became my fight the moment I met you." He cupped her face gently. "Maybe before that, when I failed to help your brother. When I let fear control me instead of standing up to Crane." His hands were warm against her skin, calloused from years on the ice but unexpectedly gentle. "I'm done running too," he said softly. "Whatever comes next, we face it together." The inevitability of it struck her. This connection that had formed in fire and danger, stronger than fear or reason. Despite barely knowing each other in normal terms, they had seen each other at their most vulnerable, their most determined, their most honest. Together, she agreed, the word both promise and declaration. Their kiss was different this time. Not desperate or urgent but deliberate, a conscious choice rather than an instinctive reaction. His arms encircled her carefully, mindful of her healing wound, drawing her against the solid safety of his chest. When they separated, his eyes held hers with unwavering certainty. "So what's the plan?" "We appear live tomorrow. Tell our story before the grand jury is sequestered." Adrenaline surged as she outlined her strategy. "Force Crane to respond to our narrative instead of us constantly reacting to his. And after the interview, we can't stay here." "I have an idea about that too." She hesitated, then decided Jax deserved the full truth. "My friend is arranging secure transport to the studio, and then out of the country if necessary." His eyebrows rose. "You're considering running?" "From the trial." "Not running. Strategic repositioning." She smiled at his skeptical expression. "We testify by secure video link from a location Crane's people can't reach. The evidence speaks for itself with or without our physical presence in the courtroom." Understanding dawned in his eyes. "The bounty makes us vulnerable here. Any protection detail could be compromised." "Exactly. As long as we're in the system, we're traceable." The plan had crystallized during her sleepless night. But if we remove ourselves from the equation, Crane loses his leverage. Jax nodded slowly. No hostages to threaten, no witnesses to intimidate. We control our own security. Appear only virtually. Her smile turned predatory. Beat him at his own game. Jax paced the small room considering the implications. Mia and my mother would need to come too. They'd still be targets. Already factored in. My friend can arrange everything. The feds will be furious. Let them. They've failed to protect every witness so far. Her expression hardened. I'm not becoming the next Warren Mills. Decision formed in Jax's face. The same determination she'd seen when he rescued them at the cabin, when he refused to throw the championship game. Tomorrow morning, then. He pulled her gently to him, sealing their pact with another kiss. One last stand before we disappear. Neither noticed Agent Diaz watching silently from the hallway, phone already in hand, reporting this unexpected development to headquarters. By dawn, everything would change. The game they'd been playing by Crane's rules was about to be rewritten entirely. Overtime was ending. The final period was about to begin. Chapter 17. Lena woke to darkness and cold. Complete, disorienting darkness that pressed against her eyes like a physical weight. The surface beneath her was hard and unyielding, concrete, not the mattress she'd fallen asleep on. Confusion gave way to rising panic as memories returned in fragments. Night. Sleep. Then a cloth pressed over her face, chemical smell filling her lungs, darkness swallowing her consciousness. She tried to move, discovering her wrists bound behind her back, ankles similarly secured. No gag at least. Small mercies. Hello. Her voice emerged as a rasp, echoing slightly. Is anyone there? Silence answered. Wherever she was, the space was large enough for echoes but enclosed. Cold air carried the metallic tang of old machinery, the musty scent of disuse. Lena struggled to a sitting position back against what felt like a wall. The darkness remained absolute, but other senses compensated, cataloging details. Distant mechanical hum. Occasional drip of water. Vibration through the floor every few minutes. Passing traffic? Subway. Jax? She called louder this time. Fear crept into her voice despite her efforts to remain calm. Jax, are you here? Nothing. Had they taken him too? Or just her? The last thing she remembered was falling asleep in the mountain cabin. Jax in the room across the hall, federal agents supposedly guarding them. The betrayal stung as much as the fear. Someone on their protection detail had been compromised. Agent Diaz? One of the others? It hardly mattered now. A sound pierced the darkness. Metal scraping against metal. Hinges protesting. A door opening. Distant light appeared, so faint it barely penetrated the blackness. Flashlight beam bobbing with approaching footsteps. Lena pressed herself against the wall, heart hammering in her chest. The beam swept across the space, briefly illuminating her surroundings. High ceiling, concrete pillars, industrial equipment shrouded in tarps. Not a room. A vast underground space. The light settled on her face, blinding after the complete darkness. She turned away, squinting against the harsh beam. Ms. Hart. A voice she recognized from press conferences and interviews. Victor Crane, speaking with the smooth confidence of a man accustomed to power. Apologies for the dramatic transportation arrangements. You're supposed to be in jail, she managed, forcing strength into her voice. The light lowered slightly, revealing Crane's silhouette behind it. Bail hearing yesterday afternoon. Judge reconsidered given new evidence of witness tampering. Impossible. No judge would release him, not with the charges he faced. You're lying, she said. Am I? Amusement colored his tone. I've been a respected community leader for decades, Ms. Hart. You've been an obsessive journalist pursuing conspiracy theories about your brother's suicide. He stepped closer, the light revealing his face, composed, triumphant, dressed impeccably in a tailored suit rather than prison orange. My lawyers presented compelling evidence that you and Mr. Coulter fabricated evidence against me. That your vendetta constituted harassment. Cold dread settled in Lena's stomach. She'd underestimated him again. While they'd been hiding in safe houses, Crane had been systematically undermining their case from his cell. Where's Jax? She demanded. Mr. Coulter is enjoying our hospitality elsewhere. Crane examined his manicured nails in the flashlight's glow. He's been more resistant to conversation. The implication chilled her blood. If you've hurt him. Please, Ms. Hart. I'm a businessman, not a thug. His smile remained pleasant, reasonable. Violence is a last resort, employed only when necessary. Like with your brother. The casual admission of Danny's murder, spoken as if discussing a minor business decision, sparked rage that temporarily overwhelmed her fear. You won't get away with this, she spat. People know we're missing. The FBI believes you've fled the country just as you were planning. Crane's smile widened at her surprise. Yes, we heard about your little escape plan. Agent Diaz was quite thorough in her report. The betrayal cut deep. The agent had heard everything, reported their plans, facilitated their capture. The official theory is that you and Mr. Coulter, fearing your fabricated evidence wouldn't hold up in court, decided to flee rather than face perjury charges. Crane checked his watch, the expensive timepiece glinting in the dim light. Your mysterious disappearance merely confirms your guilt in the public eye. He was right, Lena realized with sinking certainty. Their planned escape had played directly into Crane's hands, creating the perfect narrative to discredit them. What do you want? She asked, buying time as she tested her restraints. The zip ties binding her wrists bit into her skin, unyielding. A simple transaction. Information for freedom. Crane crouched before her, keeping the flashlight trained on her face. Tell me where you sent the copies of the evidence. All the copies. So that was it. Despite his posturing, Crane knew the evidence against him was real. Knew it could still destroy him if it reached the right hands. Why would I tell you anything? She challenged. You'll kill me regardless. Perhaps. Perhaps not. He studied her with cold calculation. Depends on your cooperation. And Mr. Coulter's. The mention of Jack sent fresh fear through her. I want to see him. In time. Crane stood, brushing invisible dust from his immaculate trousers. First, you should understand your situation more completely. He directed the flashlight beam upward, illuminating their location for the first time. The ceiling arched high above them, curved concrete supported by massive pillars. Around them, forgotten equipment gathered dust beneath protective tarps. Recognition dawned slowly. The distinctive architecture, the layout, the distant sound of machinery. We're under the arena, she whispered. Very good, Ms. Hart. Approval colored Crane's voice as if praising a student. Specifically, beneath the main concourse of the Predator's home ice. Few people know these sub-basements exist. Remnants from the original construction, abandoned during renovations. The perfect prison. Soundproofed by layers of concrete, accessible only through service corridors, unknown to most of the arena staff. The championship game starts upstairs in 3 hours, Crane continued conversationally. 30,000 fans cheering, music blaring directly above your head. No one will hear you no matter how loudly you scream. The calculated cruelty of their location struck her. Danny had likely spent his final hours in this same forgotten space, dying alone in darkness while life continued obliviously above. Why bring me here? She asked, fighting to keep her voice steady. Why not just kill me immediately? Because death is final, Ms. Hart. And potentially messy. Crane's tone remained pleasant, as if discussing business strategy. I prefer more elegant solutions when available. He gestured, and a second figure emerged from the darkness. Agent Diaz, no longer in FBI attire but dressed in civilian clothes, expression neutral. Agent Diaz has been most helpful in explaining your various contingencies. Crane directed the flashlight toward the turncoat agent. The backup copies, the dead man switches, the pre-programmed releases should you disappear. Lena's blood ran cold. Their safeguards compromised. Show her, Crane instructed. Diaz activated a tablet, turning the screen toward Lena. A video played. Jax, bound to a chair in a similar concrete room, face bruised but defiant. A timestamp in the corner showed the video was live. He's been quite stubborn, Crane observed. Refuses to reveal where the evidence is secured. Claims only you know all the locations. Relief flooded through Lena. Jax hadn't broken. And he was alive. Let me speak to him, she demanded. Crane considered this, then nodded to Diaz, who tapped the tablet. The video shifted to two-way communication. Jax, Lena called, leaning toward the tablet. Can you hear me? His head lifted, eyes focusing on the screen before him. Lena? Thank God. Are you hurt? I'm okay. You. Been better. His attempt at nonchalance was belied by the strain in his voice. Don't tell them anything. Whatever they've promised. Diaz cut the connection, screen going dark. Touching, Crane said dryly. But not productive. He crouched again, bringing his face level with Lena's. Here is my proposition, Ms. Hart. You will sign a statement confessing that you fabricated evidence against me. That your brother's death drove you to obsession and revenge. That you manipulated Mr. Coulter into supporting your false narrative. Never, she spat. In exchange, he continued as if she hadn't spoken, Mr. Coulter walks free. Returns to his life, his family. Perhaps even his career with the right management. The offer hung in the air between them. Sacrifice her credibility, her truth, her brother's justice, for Jax's freedom. You expect me to trust you? She asked incredulously. After everything? I expect you to make a rational decision based on the available options. Crane's smile never reached his eyes. Option 1. Sign the confession, Mr. Coulter goes free. You remain our guest until certain statutes of limitation expire. Option 2. Refuse and watch Mr. Coulter suffer before joining your brother in an unfortunate overdose. Diaz produced a document and pen, placing them on the floor within Lena's view. A pre-written confession requiring only her signature. I'll need my hands, Lena said, testing Crane's response. He nodded to Diaz, who moved behind Lena with a knife. The zip tie binding her wrists fell away, blood rushing painfully back into her fingers. Opportunity. Fleeting but real. As she reached for the document, ostensibly to read it, Lena catalogued her surroundings with renewed purpose. Diaz standing too close. Crane watching intently. The flashlight creating harsh shadows. In one fluid motion, she grabbed the heavy flashlight from Crane's unsuspecting hand and swung it toward Diaz's knee. The impact produced a sickening crack, the agent falling with a cry of pain. Crane lurched backward, but not quickly enough. Lena's second swing caught him across the temple, sending him sprawling. No time to free her ankles. She dropped the flashlight, snatching the tablet from where Diaz had dropped it. Using her hands and bound feet together, Lena propelled herself into the darkness, away from Crane's curses and Diaz's pained gasps. The tablet's screen provided minimal light as she navigated between concrete pillars, seeking shelter, distance, anything. Behind her, Crane's voice echoed through the cavernous space. You're only prolonging the inevitable, Ms. Hart. There's no way out. He was right. With bound ankles and no knowledge of the exit, her escape attempt was futile. But the tablet, if she could reconnect with Jax, coordinate somehow. She found temporary shelter behind a massive piece of equipment, activating the tablet with trembling fingers. The video connection attempt failed repeatedly. No signal this deep underground. Then inspiration struck. The tablet likely had Diaz's FBI credentials, access to systems ordinary devices couldn't reach. Working quickly, she found the emergency broadcast system, designed for federal alerts in crisis situations. Not what it was intended for, but possibly her only hope. Fingers flying across the screen, she crafted a message including their location, Crane's involvement, Jax's situation. Attached the live video feed showing his captivity. Addressed it to Rebecca Chen's direct federal channel and every major news outlet simultaneously. The confirmation appeared just as a hand seized her shoulder, yanking her backward. Clever, Ms. Hart, Crane snarled, face contorted with rage, blood streaming from his temple. But futile. He wrenched the tablet from her hands, staring in horror at the sent confirmation. What have you done? He demanded, shaking her violently. Exactly what journalists do, she managed through the rough treatment. Told the truth. His expression transformed from anger to cold calculation in an instant. It changes nothing. By the time anyone acts on this, you and Mr. Coulter will be tragic victims of your own desperation. Lena knew in that moment he intended to kill them both immediately. No more games, no more negotiations. Diaz limped into view, weapon drawn, fury distorting her features. Sir, we need to move. If that message went through. Silence, Crane hissed. I'm thinking. The pause gave Lena time to notice something else. A rhythmic vibration through the floor, stronger than before. Not traffic. Not the arena's systems. Footsteps. Many of them moving with purpose. Crane felt it too, head tilting as he listened. What is that? FBI. Freeze. The command echoed through the cavernous space, followed by blinding light as tactical flashlights penetrated the darkness from multiple directions. A dozen agents materialized from the shadows, weapons trained on Crane and Diaz. Rebecca Chin stepped forward, her expression glacial as she took in the scene. Victor Crane, Jennifer Diaz, you're under arrest. This is absurd, Crane blustered, immediately adopting his public persona. I'm the victim here. These people have been harassing me, fabricating. Save it, Rebecca cut him off, nodding to her agents. We have your confession on Ms. Hart's live broadcast, along with visual confirmation of kidnapping and assault. As agents secured Crane and Diaz, Rebecca knelt beside Lena, cutting the zip ties around her ankles. How? Lena asked, relief making her lightheaded. How did you find us so quickly? Your emergency broadcast went to every connected device in the country, Rebecca explained, helping her to her feet. Including the phones of every agent in this building, where we were already searching for you. Already searching? Agent Rodriguez reported your abduction immediately after it happened. Rebecca's expression softened slightly. Not everyone on your protection detail was compromised. Just Diaz. Jax. Lena remembered suddenly. They have Jax somewhere in the building. We found him 5 minutes ago. He's being treated by paramedics. Rebecca supported Lena as they moved toward the exit. He's asking for you. As they ascended from the subterranean prison, Lena squinted against the relatively bright light of the service corridors. The air grew warmer, fresher, life returning with each step away from the darkness. In a staging area near the arena's loading docks, medical personnel had established a triage center. And there, sitting on a gurney while a paramedic examined his injuries, was Jax. Their eyes met across the chaos of federal agents and medical staff. His face was bruised, a cut above one eye still seeping blood, but his relief at seeing her was palpable. Breaking away from her escort, Lena crossed to him in unsteady steps. No words seemed adequate for what they'd endured, what they'd almost lost. Instead, she simply took his hand, his fingers closing around hers with gentle strength. Told you we'd be fine, he said, attempt at humor undermined by the emotion in his voice. Such an optimist, she replied, tears threatening despite her best efforts. Around them, the machinery of justice moved with efficient purpose. Crane and Diaz processed, evidence collected, statements taken. The nightmare that had consumed their lives was finally ending. But as Rebecca approached them, clipboard in hand, Lena realized one truth remained unchanged. Their fight wasn't over. It had merely entered a new phase. The game was shifting again. The final period had begun. Chapter 18. All rise. Court is now in session, the Honorable Judge Harmon presiding. The packed courtroom rustled as everyone stood. 6 weeks had passed since their rescue from beneath the arena. 6 weeks of healing, preparing, and waiting for this moment. Lena smoothed her blazer, conscious of the scar tissue pulling beneath the fabric. Beside her, Jax stood tall in his dark suit, expression solemn but composed. In the row behind them sat Mia and Mrs. Coulter, along with Reese and several other players who had broken ranks to testify. Victor Crane entered flanked by marshals, prison jumpsuit replacing his tailored suits. His lawyer, a different one, the previous team having abandoned their client after his recorded kidnapping and assault went public, looked nervous, outmatched by the federal prosecution's resources. Judge Harmon took his seat, scanning the courtroom with practiced efficiency. Be seated. First witness for the prosecution. District Attorney Sloan rose. The United States calls Ms. Lena Hart. As Lena made her way to the witness stand, she caught Jax's eye. He nodded slightly, encouragement in the simple gesture. They had prepared for this moment endlessly, her testimony potentially the most damaging to Crane's already crumbling defense. After being sworn in, Lena settled in the witness chair, hands folded in her lap to hide their slight tremor. Ms. Hart, Sloan began, please tell the court when you first became suspicious of Victor Crane's activities. After my brother's death, Lena replied, voice steadier than she felt. The official ruling was suicide by overdose, but details didn't add up. Danny had been clean for months, was paying his debts, had just landed a coaching position. And what evidence led you to connect Mr. Crane to your brother's death? Initially, rumors within the hockey community that certain games were being fixed. Players taking specific penalties, manipulating scores. She glanced at Crane, who stared back impassively. Danny had mentioned concerns about this before he died. Said something dangerous was happening with the team. The questioning continued methodically, Sloane building the foundation of conspiracy, corruption, and murder that had claimed her brother and nearly claimed her and Jax as well. And the ledger found in Mr. Crane's safety deposit box. Did it contain information about your brother? Yes. A notation dated the night he died. Heart problem eliminated. RC handled cleanup. RC being Jackson Coulter, known as Reaper Coulter? That was the implication, though Mr. Coulter had no direct involvement in my brother's death. He was being framed by Crane's organization. Crane's lawyer objected occasionally on procedural grounds rather than substance. Each objection was noted, then overruled by Judge Harmon. When Sloane finished, Crane's lawyer approached for cross-examination. His strategy became immediately apparent. Attack Lena's credibility by highlighting her emotional connection to the case. Ms. Hart, isn't it true that you were devastated by your brother's death? Perhaps even obsessed with finding someone to blame. I was grieving, Lena acknowledged calmly, and determined to uncover the truth. And this determination led you to pursue Mr. Crane specifically, based on rumors and speculation? It led me to follow evidence, which pointed consistently to Mr. Crane's organization. The attorney shifted tactics. Your relationship with Jackson Coulter. When did that begin? Lena stiffened slightly. I don't see how that's relevant. Please answer the question. We became close while investigating Crane's operation. After my initial interview with him for a profile piece. Intimate. Before or after you claimed to find evidence against my client? Objection, Sloane interrupted. Relevance. Going to witness bias, Your Honor, Crane's lawyer insisted. I'll allow it, Judge Harmon ruled. Witness will answer. Lena met the defense attorney's gaze steadily. After. But our relationship has no bearing on the evidence, which speaks for itself. Does it? The attorney's tone turned insinuating. Or does it speak to two people constructing a narrative to serve their own purposes? One driven by grief, the other by gambling debts and a failing career. Objection. Sloane rose. Counsel is testifying. Sustained, Judge Harmon said sharply. Watch yourself, counselor. The cross-examination continued for another hour, exhausting but ultimately ineffective. The defense had no substantive counter to the mountain of evidence, only insinuations about motive and credibility. When Lena finally stepped down, she felt drained but relieved. Her part was done. The truth was on record. Jax testified next, describing the coercion that had forced his participation in game fixing. His account of Mia's treatment at Second Chance, the threats, the blackmail, painted a damning picture of systematic corruption. And when you refused to continue cooperating? Sloane asked. They attempted to kill me, Jax stated plainly. Injected me with the same drug combination used on Daniel Hart, intending to make it appear as a self-administered overdose. From the gallery, Lena watched Crane during Jax's testimony. The man's composure had cracked slightly, a muscle twitching in his jaw whenever particularly damaging evidence emerged. The day's proceedings ended with medical testimony about Danny's death, forensic evidence supporting the murder conclusion rather than suicide. The court would reconvene tomorrow with additional witnesses, including Mia, Reese, and the team doctor who had turned state's evidence. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed, shouting questions as they emerged under federal protection. Ms. Hart, do you feel vindicated by today's testimony? Mr. Coulter, will you return to hockey after the trial? Rebecca Chin and her team created a buffer, guiding them toward waiting vehicles. The media circus had intensified since their rescue, their story capturing national attention. In the secure SUV, Lena finally allowed herself to relax, tension draining from her shoulders. That went better than expected. You were amazing, Jax said, taking her hand. Unshakable. It felt good, she admitted. Finally telling Danny's story in a place where it matters. Security had remained tight since their rescue. A safe house in the city during the trial, armed escort everywhere, constant vigilance. Crane's organization had been severely damaged but not destroyed, Lieutenants still at large, assets still hidden in shell companies. One day down, Jack said, watching the city pass outside the tinted windows. How many more? Prosecution estimates 2 weeks, defense maybe another week. Lena leaned against his shoulder, drawing comfort from his solid presence. Then deliberation. And after? The question held weight beyond the trial's outcome. After, she repeated thoughtfully. They'd been so focused on survival, on justice, on testimony, there had been little time to consider what came next. I haven't thought that far ahead. Maybe we should start. His voice softened. Thinking about after. The safe house was a luxury apartment in a secure building, upper floor with controlled access and agents stationed throughout. Not home, but the closest they'd had since this began. Inside, Mia was already pacing, agitated despite the day's apparent success. What's wrong? Jax asked immediately, brotherly intuition alerting him to her distress. Rebecca called. They found Reynolds. She named one of Crane's top lieutenants who had evaded the initial raids. In Zurich. Accessing accounts. That's good news, Lena said, puzzled by Mia's reaction. Isn't it? He had documents. Insurance, apparently. Mia sat heavily on the sofa. Including minutes from a team owners meeting 3 years ago. Discussing the betting operation. The implication sank in slowly. League-wide involvement, Lena breathed. Not just Crane. 7 owners implicated so far. Maybe more. Mia looked at her brother. The commissioner called. Wants to meet. Says he can contain the damage, if certain evidence doesn't become public. Jax's expression hardened. Bribing witnesses. That's bold. Desperate, Lena corrected. They're scrambling to salvage what they can. The dynasty Crane had built was larger than any of them had realized. Tentacles reaching into team ownership, league management, gambling operations across multiple sports. What had begun as justice for Danny had evolved into something that could reshape professional sports entirely. The commissioner mentioned rehabilitation. Mia's eyes met her brother's. For your image. Your career. Jax laughed humorlessly. At what price? By silence. Your testimony is already on record, Lena pointed out. They can't undo that. But future testimony could be selective. He shook his head, disgust evident. They want me to help bury the league-wide conspiracy while throwing Crane under the bus. The offer hung in the air between them. A return to the life he'd lost, the career he'd built, the identity that had defined him. A compelling temptation, especially after months of exile and danger. Lena watched his face, seeing the conflict there. It's your decision, she said quietly. I'd understand if you wanted your life back. Would you? His eyes met hers, searching. Would you really understand if I took a deal to protect the League while your brother's full story remained untold? The question struck at the heart of what had brought them together. Truth, justice, refusing to be silenced despite the cost. No, she admitted. I wouldn't. Neither would I. His decision crystallized, visible in the set of his jaw. I didn't come this far to start compromising now. Relief flooded through her, followed by something deeper. Pride, admiration, certainty that this man's moral compass aligned with her own. The commissioner won't be happy, Mia warned. I'm past caring who's happy. Jax stood, renewed purpose in his movements. We finish this. All of it. No matter who falls. The ringing of Rebecca's secure line interrupted them. Lena answered, listening intently before turning to the others, face pale. There's been a development, she said. Crane's been attacked in holding. Stabbed multiple times by another inmate. Is he, Jax began. Alive but critical. Being transported to the hospital under guard. Lena relayed Rebecca's information. They think it was orchestrated by someone in the League. Silencing him before he could implicate others. Convenient timing, Mia observed darkly. Too convenient, Jax agreed. After the commissioner's offer. Lena's journalist instincts flared. They're in damage control. Eliminate Crane, pin everything on him, protect the institution. Classic playbook. Jax nodded. Same one they used with Danny. Same one they tried to use with us. Decision formed between them without words needed. The silent understanding that had developed through shared danger. Rebecca says the trial's on hold pending Crane's condition, Lena continued. But the judge has ordered all evidence preserved and witnesses to remain available. They're hoping the delay will cool public interest, Mia guessed. Let them negotiate deals behind the scenes. Then we don't let public interest cool. Lena's mind raced with possibilities. We go public with everything we know about the league-wide involvement. Today. That would violate the judge's gag order, Mia reminded her. The order covers trial testimony, not new evidence emerging about additional parties. Lena was already moving toward her laptop. Reynolds' documents aren't part of the current case. Jax watched her, a smile playing at the corners of his mouth. Back in reporter mode. Never left it. She paused, turning back to him. But this puts a target on all of us again. You sure you're ready for round 2? His answer was to join her at the laptop, hand resting supportively on her shoulder. Should I call Reese? Get statements from the other players who were prepared to testify. Perfect. She leaned briefly into his touch, drawing strength from the contact. Mia, can you reach out to the Players Association? They need to know what's coming. The apartment transformed into an impromptu newsroom. Calls made, documents organized, strategy developed. Hours passed in focused activity, the looming threat of league retaliation secondary to their shared purpose. When Lena finally compiled all the information into a comprehensive exposé, she paused before hitting send. Once this goes live, there's no going back, she warned. The league has resources we can't imagine. Influence in places we can't predict. We've faced worse, Jax reminded her. Together. The simple word carried them through the doubt. Together they had survived Crane's attempts to silence them. Together they would face whatever came next. Lena pressed send, releasing the story to multiple platforms simultaneously. The game clock was running down. The final play had begun. Chapter 19. We need to move. Now. Rebecca burst into the safe house apartment. Normally composed features tight with urgency. Grab essentials only. Vehicles waiting. 3 days had passed since Lena's league-wide exposé went public. 3 days of escalating chaos. Emergency league meetings, team owners resigning, players coming forward with their own stories of coercion. The commissioner had issued a defensive statement, then disappeared from public view. What's happened? Jax asked, already moving toward the go-bags they kept packed. Judge Harmon was just found dead in his chambers. Rebecca checked her weapon as she spoke. Apparent heart attack, but given the timing. They're eliminating threats, Lena finished, cold dread settling in her stomach. First Crane, now the judge. Crane remained in critical condition, unconscious and under guard. The attack had effectively silenced the one person who could implicate the entire network. My team intercepted communications suggesting you're next on the list. Rebecca's expression left no room for questions. High-level contract. Professional. Assassins, Mia said flatly, helping her mother gather medications. They've escalated to assassins now. The League is fighting for survival. Rebecca ushered them toward the door. Your exposé threatened billions in revenue, broadcast deals, gambling partnerships. They're desperate. The building's service elevator took them to the underground garage, where 2 armored SUVs waited, engines running. Federal agents stood at alert, weapons visible. Split up, Rebecca ordered. Ms. Hart and Mr. Coulter with me. Mia and Mrs. Coulter with Agent Torres. No, Jack said immediately. We stay together. Different destinations, different routes, twice the chance at least some of you survive. Rebecca's bluntness reflected the severity of the situation. This isn't a negotiation. The painful logic silenced his protest. Jax embraced his mother and sister, murmuring reassurances that sounded hollow even to his own ears. We'll regroup at the safe location, Rebecca promised as the families separated. 2 hours max. Inside their SUV, Lena and Jax sat close, hands linked. The city streets blurred past, their driver taking evasive maneuvers. Sudden turns, doubling back, changing lanes unpredictably. Where are we going? Lena asked. Arena, Rebecca answered, surprising them both. Specifically, the owner's private entrance and tunnel system. That's the last place we should go, Jax objected. The arena is League territory. Which makes it the last place they'll look for you. Rebecca checked the vehicle's security monitors. Besides, we've got an inside man helping us. Who? You'll see. The city gave way to the arena district, usually bustling with fans on game days. Today the area was eerily quiet, the season on indefinite hiatus while the scandal expanded. Their driver bypassed the main entrance, circling to a nondescript service road leading to underground loading docks. A security guard waved them through without checking credentials, the gate closing immediately behind their vehicle. Inside the underground structure, the SUV stopped alongside a familiar figure. Reese, the goalie, standing with another man Lena recognized as Martin, the fisherman who had sheltered them months ago. "Coast is clear," Reese reported as they exited the vehicle. "Owner's suite secured. No regular staff today." "How did you arrange this?" Jax asked, embracing his teammate briefly. "Season ticket holders have pull," Martin answered with a grim smile. "And my family's held boxes here for 30 years. Rebecca outlined the plan as they moved through service corridors toward the arena's private elevator. "Martin's access gives us the perfect staging area. Control systems, surveillance, multiple escape routes if needed. And a clear view of the ice," Reese added cryptically. "Why does that matter?" Lena asked, growing increasingly confused by their apparent confidence amid crisis. "Because," Rebecca said as the elevator doors opened to the luxury suite level, "the commissioner and remaining team owners are having an emergency meeting on the arena floor in 20 minutes. Closed doors, no security footage, no staff." Understanding dawned. A trap. An opportunity. Rebecca's smile held no warmth. "They think they're meeting to coordinate damage control. Instead, they'll be surrounded by federal agents the moment they implicate themselves. You're wiring the place," Jax realized. "Using their secrecy against them." "Already done." Reese led them into a luxurious suite overlooking the darkened ice. Every microphone active, every camera recording to secure servers. "If they're planning what we think they're planning, we'll have them on conspiracy to commit murder," Rebecca finished. "Among other charges." The suite had been transformed into an operational center. Monitors displaying security feeds, communications equipment on the wet bar, agents in tactical gear at strategic positions. "You're not just hiding us," Lena said slowly. "You're using us as bait." "With your consent," Rebecca clarified. "Information about your location has been strategically leaked. We need them to believe you're coming here to meet with a sympathetic owner. So they'll order the hit during their meeting," Jax concluded, implicating themselves directly. Exactly. It was elegant in its simplicity. The League executives, gathering to handle their crisis in the one place they felt safe from surveillance, would walk directly into an FBI sting operation. "What about Mia and my mother?" Jax demanded. "Are they part of this too?" "No. They're at the actual safe house with triple security." Rebecca's expression softened slightly. "I wouldn't risk their safety." Relief visibly washed over him. "And our role? Stay in this suite. Monitor the meeting with us. Be prepared to identify voices, confirm participants." Rebecca checked her watch. "And if things go wrong, there's a helicopter on the roof for immediate extraction." The next hour passed in tense preparation. Lena and Jax reviewed photos of all expected participants, familiarizing themselves with voices from previous press conferences. Agents tested equipment, confirmed positions, established the invisible net closing around their targets. First arrivals, an agent announced, monitoring the garage entrance. 3 vehicles, private security. On the screens, they watched as team owners and league executives arrived separately, each taking care not to be seen entering the arena. All using service entrances, all without their usual entourages. "Guilty behavior," Rebecca observed. "Consciousness of wrongdoing." The commissioner arrived last, flanked by his head of security, a former military contractor with known connections to less-than-legal operations. "That's Blackwood," Jax identified the security chief. "He's been with the commissioner for years. Handles special problems personally. Like arranging for Crane to be stabbed in custody?" Lena suggested. "And Judge Harmon's convenient heart attack," Rebecca added. "We're building a case against him separately." The meeting convened on the arena floor, chairs arranged in a circle on the covered ice, no tables, no devices allowed. Old-school security measures that would have been effective in a previous era. Audio is live, an agent confirmed, adjusting levels. Crystal clear. Through sophisticated microphones hidden throughout the arena, the conversation reached them with perfect clarity. After preliminary discussions of public relations strategy and financial impact, the tone shifted to darker matters. The Hart woman is the primary problem, one owner stated bluntly. Her continued reporting keeps this in the public eye. Both of them need to be addressed, the commissioner replied. Coulter's credibility with players makes him equally dangerous. More are coming forward every day. Crane's situation is contained, Blackwood reported. He won't regain consciousness. Doctors have been instructed. The casual discussion of murder sent a chill through the observation suite. Lena felt Jax's hand tighten around hers. And Judge Harmon? Another voice asked. Natural causes, Blackwood assured them. Untraceable compound. Medical examiner's report will confirm cardiac event. That leaves our immediate problem. The commissioner's voice hardened. We have confirmation they're meeting a potential whistleblower here tonight. Owner of the Canadian expansion team, thinking he can save himself by providing additional evidence. The location is perfect, Blackwood noted. Remote service entrance, minimal security cameras, direct access to the maintenance tunnels beneath the building. The same tunnels where they were held before, an owner observed. Poetic. Do it cleanly, the commissioner ordered. Make it appear connected to Crane's organization. His posthumous revenge. Already arranged, Blackwood confirmed. The contractors are on standby. Once we confirm the targets have arrived, they'll proceed. Rebecca nodded to her agents, the signal they'd been waiting for. Simultaneous communications went out, mobilizing teams positioned throughout the arena. 5 minutes, she told Lena and Jax quietly. Stay here until the all clear. On the monitors, they watched the operation unfold with military precision. Federal agents emerged from concealed positions, surrounding the meeting circle with weapons drawn. The commissioner and owners froze in shock, Blackwood reaching instinctively for a weapon before thinking better of it. No resistance. No dramatic standoff. Just the swift anticlimactic collapse of a corrupt empire. Target secured, came the confirmation through Rebecca's earpiece. All subjects in custody. She turned to Lena and Jax, professional mask slipping to reveal genuine satisfaction. It's over. Really over this time. The contractors? Jax asked. Intercepted at their staging area 10 minutes ago. Rebecca allowed herself a small smile. Rolled immediately on their employers. Professional hitmen have no loyalty beyond the paycheck. Relief washed through them both, the tension of months finally releasing. Lena found herself trembling slightly, adrenaline fading and leaving exhaustion in its wake. Let's get you to your family, Rebecca said, noticing their fatigue. Safe house is truly safe now. As they left the suite, Jax paused for a final look at the arena floor where he'd once been a star. The owners and commissioner were being led away in handcuffs, their power and privilege stripped away in moments. Think there will be a season next year? He asked no one in particular. Different owners, different leadership, Rebecca answered. Sports survive scandals. They always do. But they'll never be the same, Lena observed, taking Jax's hand. For better or worse. Outside, night had fallen, the city lights creating a false dawn against the horizon. Their SUV waited, doors open, a different future ahead. Where to first? Rebecca asked as they settled inside. Safe house. Or would you like to make a statement to the press? They're gathering at federal headquarters as we speak. Lena and Jax exchanged a glance, communication passing without words needed. Family first, Lena decided. Statements can wait. As the vehicle pulled away from the arena, Jax gazed back at the building that had been both battlefield and salvation. Never thought it would end like this. It hasn't ended, Lena corrected gently. It's just changing. His hand found hers in the darkness, fingers interlacing with familiar comfort. Together. Together, she confirmed, the promise extending beyond the moment, beyond the case, into whatever future awaited. The final buzzer had sounded. The game that had nearly destroyed them was over. What remained was the aftermath, healing, rebuilding, creating something new from the wreckage of the old. And for the first time since this began, they would face it not as fugitives or targets, but simply as themselves. Free. Chapter 20. 6 months later. Snow dusted the small sign that read, Lena Hart Center for Recovery. Lena brushed it away, the cold metal beneath her gloved fingers a tangible reminder of how much had changed. Ready? Jax asked, coming up beside her. His breath clouded in the winter air, cheeks reddened from the cold. Almost. She stepped back to admire their creation. A modest building on the outskirts of a small lakeside town far from Toronto's shadows. Still feels unreal sometimes. The good kind of unreal, he said, arms slipping around her waist. For once. The trial had ended not with dramatic courtroom revelations but with plea deals and quiet settlements. Victor Crane had survived his accident, but would spend the rest of his life in prison, health permanently compromised. The league commissioner and 5 team owners received shorter sentences, their empire dismantled by federal investigators. When the dust settled, professional hockey found itself transformed. New ownership, transparent management, strict oversight. The game survived as games always do. But there was no place in it for Jax Coulter. Coach is waiting, Lena reminded him, nodding toward the building where a dozen kids in hockey gear could be seen through the windows. Your future all-stars. His smile held no regret. More promising than the pros. Inside, warmth enveloped them, both the physical heat and the emotional kind that comes from purpose found. The center had opened 2 months ago, funded by a combination of settlement money from the league and Jax's remaining savings. Not a fortune but enough to create something meaningful. Ms. Hart. A young girl glided over on skates, the facility's small practice rink visible through interior windows. I finished the story you helped me write. Can't wait to read it, Emma. Lena took the offered papers, her heart warming at the sight of carefully printed words. After practice, okay? As the girl rejoined her teammates, Jax squeezed Lena's hand. You're good with them. So are you, Coach Coulter. She bumped his shoulder playfully. Who knew the Reaper had a soft spot for 8-year-olds learning to skate? They don't know who the Reaper was. Something like peace settled in his expression. Here I'm just Coach Jax. And that was the beauty of their new life. Here, 600 miles from Toronto, they weren't the whistleblowers who brought down hockey's corrupt empire. Just a couple running a small rehab center with an attached youth sports program. Mail came, Mia called, emerging from the office with a stack of envelopes. She had flourished in her role as the center's intake coordinator, her own recovery strengthening her connection with clients. Including your advance copy. She handed Lena a padded envelope. Inside was a book with a striking cover, Penalty Box, The True Story of Corruption in Professional Hockey by L.D. Morgan. Her pseudonym. Her story. Her truth. Looks good, Jack said, examining the cover. Bestseller material. We'll see. Lena ran her fingers over the embossed title. Publisher thinks the hockey world is ready for this version. The complete one. The book told everything. Danny's murder, Crane's organization, the league's complicity, their own journey from adversaries to allies to lovers. Names had been changed for legal reasons but the truth remained intact. Mom wants to know if you're both coming for dinner, Mia said, scrolling through her phone. She's making that pasta you like. Wouldn't miss it, Lena assured her. Mrs. Coulter had relocated with them, her small house just down the road becoming a second home to Lena. As Mia left to supervise the front desk, Jax led Lena toward his small office overlooking the rink. Inside he closed the door, expression turning serious. I have something for you. He reached into his desk drawer, retrieving a small box. Been carrying this around for weeks, waiting for the right moment. Lena's heart stuttered as he placed it in her palm. Jax. Just open it, he said, unusual nervousness coloring his voice. Inside wasn't the ring she'd half expected but a key. Simple, silver, ordinary. You already have a key to our place, she said, confused. Not to our apartment. To that. He nodded toward the window, where a small cottage was visible across the frozen lake. I bought it yesterday. For us. You bought a house. Surprise made her voice rise. Without telling me. I wanted it to be perfect first. Now he looked uncertain. If you don't like it. She silenced him with a kiss, rising on tiptoes to reach him. I love it. But next time maybe discuss major life decisions. Relief brightened his eyes. Noted. Although. He hesitated, then knelt suddenly before her, producing a second, smaller box from his pocket. Since you brought it up. This one I definitely wanted to ask about first. The ring inside was simple. Silver band, single diamond, nothing ostentatious. Perfect. Lena Hart, he said, voice steady despite the vulnerability in his eyes. Marry me. Later she wouldn't remember exactly what she said, only that it was yes. Emphatically, tearfully, joyfully yes. Around them life continued. Kids laughing on the ice, Mia answering phones, clients finding their way to recovery. The small world they had built from the ashes of their old ones. That evening they walked along the frozen lakeshore, new ring glinting on Lena's finger, cottage lights visible in the distance. Their future waiting. Any regrets? She asked, voicing the question that sometimes haunted her quiet moments. About how it all turned out. Jax considered this, his pace unhurried. I miss the game sometimes. The speed, the roar of the crowd. He looked toward the stars emerging in the twilight sky. But I wouldn't change what we did. Not any of it. We lost a lot, she acknowledged. Your career. My reputation in journalism. We gained more. His arm tightened around her shoulders. Justice for Danny. Freedom for Mia. This place. Us. The simplicity of his answer warmed her more than any elaborate declaration could have. They had survived the worst together. Everything else was bonus time. At the edge of the property, they paused to look back at the center, windows glowing with welcoming light against the gathering darkness. Danny's name above the door. New beginnings built from painful endings. Do you think we won in the end? Lena asked softly. Jax considered this, his profile strong against the winter twilight. When he looked down at her, his smile held both sadness and certainty. We didn't win the game, he said, pulling her close. We burned it down. And built something better from the ashes. The end. Please leave a comment. Thank you.